tweets so that way I can
and
share.
Telegram.
Oh, we're live. Sorry, I just noticed that. But yeah, c'est la vie in that respect.
Well, I think it's tele in the beginning, so you could
Telegram, as
I love
people
how
like to say.
But yeah, we are live at a special nighttime. We were just talking about this article because it's funny. This woman's a graphic designer, because maybe I'll include her in my book, because I was
maybe you can look up her work and put it in your neoliberal kitsch book.
Yeah,
that god awful Toronto Star article saying it's a privilege, not a right, to know your kid's gender identity. Maybe because I know actually Michael Anton and the Z-Man got into the argument about rights and whether or not natural rights exist or not. Do we need to go that far back into like the reactionary rabbit hole and just be like, no, kids are property, like this settles the issue. They're parental property until they're the age of the majority. Get your shit off my property and just like defend kids with like a shotgun or whatever, and like prevent them from like, forcibly transitioning them without your consent.
Yeah,
like, isn't that a case that happened not too long ago in like California or Colorado, where like they basically got rid of a kid from like the parents' home, put it in a foster home where they were like transitioned or whatever. Forcibly
here in Ontario, of course, you could have your kid taken away for not consenting. And Doug Ford, by the way, never did anything about that law. I wonder why. But no, I think that when it comes to children, I think like property is a negative word. I think that there is getting notifications from my there's has to be like a term that denotes how shall I put it, not property per se, because property implies use value, but rather
children do have use value. They can work on your farm. Sorry, I'm being a bit contrarian. I'm just being an ass. I don't know how far I can.
Hey, I was a kid. I was like barely a teenager when I would go and help my old man out, but I don't know. I was a big kid, so that was anyways. No, I think like there's got to be a level between. I think stewardship would be a better word, because I mean, yes, kids do have use
word
values.
Would be like ward, right? Like you're a ward of the state or whatever, or a ward of your parents. But
yeah, I mean, you are charged or receivership.
Either which way, but loose. What's irritating about it is that, like, and maybe this is just like the ultimate linguistic game about like that comes with liberal democracy, is like, well, what does it mean for the security of a free state? What does it mean shall not be infringed? What does it mean the due process clause? Like, because those things that are used in very specific contexts, and this is why like the originalist argument always gets thrown around, is it's just like, oh, well, in this respect, like, actually, why does a constitutional amendment that specifically requires like the context of recently freed Black people in the United States of America, how on earth does this apply to like, two guys that like bumming getting like legally recognized as a marriage? Like, it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, like, because of the concept of a living constitution or a living document, and this is a whole other rant for another time, but it illustrates the fact that like we've gone from, say, property, ward, parent, the traditional, the most closest knit network of hierarchy that there is, which is the family, paterfamilias, filial piety, things like that. All that gets thrown out the window for the sake of, I hate to tap the sign on someone else's show, but like, it isn't rocket science. They really do just want to diddle little kids, and like, this is what we have to deal with. And so when these articles, like with the Toronto Star, it's like, well, it's a privilege, not a right. Like, no, it really isn't. Why is it a privilege for me to know that you're actually being a predator towards children and are advocating for irreversible biological harm to them using words that do not matter to you and have lost all meaning to me in the context that I know them? So because we're speaking past one another, it's just like, nope, too late. You lost the frame game. You lost the word game. And we're going to make sure that, snip, snip happens, or zippers across your chest happen. And like, it's irreversible damage. Like, this is the real tragedy that we live in nowadays, is that, they can talk over you, speak down upon you, and in doing so, like, this is the really dangerous nature. And I think there is some fault, not entirely, like maybe like 5%, I don't know, to like parents.
Yeah.
Because there is a large scale parental abdication of responsibility where it's just like throw the phone at the kid, put the TV on, put the phone on. And I get it. I'm around parents.
Or like Dr. Phil, where he's like, you want to offer up your kid to the mantle of psychiatry and say, here, fix him for me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're gonna fix him for me, you know.
Although I do believe
I'm gonna kill you. Give me $200.
Yeah, I do believe Dr. Phil is probably pro Impossible Kids. But
well, didn't he have that whole?
He had Matt Walsh on.
Well, not just Matt Walsh, but didn't he have like a dad or like a former serviceman dad or whatever? And then like,
oh
this is
God,
your daughter now, and the man is trying not to lose it because he's just watched like whatever's left of his son be like put up in this gross, you know, a crude mockery of nature's perfection. And
then like Dr. Phil's hugging him, he's like, and then the father's like,
"This is your daughter now, sir."
You know, I guess I accept her.
I guess this is my daughter now. And it's just like, that's the ultimate humiliation ritual on like live television. And like, it just, to go to a different world. Let's go.
That's why Dr. Phil is way more evil than Mari or Steve Wilkos.
Mari Popovich just exposed like people cheat, DNA tests are important, and baby mamas are baby mamas for a reason. Like that was the big thing with Maury Popovich. Whereas, but this all contributes to like the great moral degradation of society and television.
Yeah.
And I'm firmly on team bring back the Hays Code for a reason. But like Dr. Phil's the ultimate like psychological humiliation ritual thing.
Oh yeah.
Like
definitely.
It does like the whole Cash Me Outside girl or whatever. Like that woman had a little rap career, made a shit ton of money on OnlyFans. Like all that you've done is broadcast this like succubus onto the world stage, and like, congratulations, this is what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
And what's worse about like the this whole stuff here is that like, yeah, there's some parental abdication of responsibility. So where do kids go? Well, kids are on their phones now, and kids are now, you know, they're Discord kittens and they're groomers and they're all sorts of stuff. And it's just like, well, what are they gonna do when they realize, you know, go to AGuyRL on Reddit and you're going to see what I'm talking about, where it's just all these people that are like, oh, maybe I'm trans, or like there's someone who thinks I'm trans, and they're going to force me into it. And it's just this endless cycle of a social contagion, much like a suicide contagion, where like if one person does it, they get attention and adoration, then I'm going to do it. And so more people are identifying with what is the social incentive and reward, and that is to be X. And why does it predominantly affect white kids? Because white kids need something in order to play along with the racial hierarchy game. And like, this is where we're at. And we've just spent the first like 7 minutes ranting and raving. So welcome to episode 59, screwballs. Yeah. This is where we're at. We're in it. Talking about 9/11. We're going to talk about Lamau's. We're going to talk about this. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah. So I have a little rant, though. I think that, and please sneed those super chats for this excellent content. The if you don't want to give to YouTube, my PayPal is in the bio, as well as Prude's. You know, Find My Friends, his Subscribe Star, my Patreon. I have been keeping up with content because I've been busy trying to finish the draft of my book. I recently started writing about there's this one chapter I write about the article that Sir H.P. Lovecraft wrote about the Spider-Verse film and how he got into that controversy by saying it was like an anti-white aesthetic, and it was pretty funny. Yes, thank you, Owen Zaleski. Right. 10 more episodes till we review the first season of King. Prude's gonna love that one.
It is my cross to bear.
Yes. So anyways, I think with the Toronto Star article revealed a few things. One of them is that, you know, I was surprised that it's free, because usually they paywall everything, because basically they spread the Toronto Star like toilet paper throughout all of Canada in every like restaurant and coffee shop and Tim Hortons. But anyways, the responses by people like absolutely bombing on it were pretty cool. But at the same time, I think the serious point is a serious point from someone I'm not convinced is a very serious person. Now, people were bombing on Rachel Gilmore, the journalist, and, you know, she said, like, thank God that the school system was there, because I put a restraining order when I was a teenager against my father. And it's tragic in a way. Like, I feel bad people dunking on her, because honestly, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, actually, I shouldn't feel bad, because to quote our good friend Rog Nationalist, if you hate journalists, you don't hate them enough the way that they hate you. So, and Gilmore is responsible for doxing people and going after doctors that didn't want to go with the insanity of the past 3 years. But I think that Rachel Gilmore, she had this tweet, and it's really revealing in a way that I think the problem is that when people prescribe their own childhood trauma towards a greater sociopolitical issue, that's a problem. But the reason I bring this up is because the way that the left in the past even 50 years, oh yeah, sorry, I think it was an Ora McIntyre quote, John D. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Our good friend John D. Yeah, stop feeling bad for the wicked. Is she legitimately, well, I don't want to, again, on air, I don't want to like put the jacket of mental illness on anyone, but I think like the reason I bring this up is for purely a method of discourse that the political left has done for a very long time, which is that when it comes to issues that have children involved or like younger people, and Alex Kashuda has talked about this, when you frame things in terms of autonomy, that they're still like quote unquote autonomous individuals, instead of a sort of liminal space where they have dignity of persons, especially from a Christian or, well, any religious perspective, unless you're some like weirdo antinatalist Gnosticism, which does exist, by the way. But, from a religious perspective, children have dignity of persons, but they are not recognized as an adult. They're not quite property, but yet they're in the receivership or the conservatorship of their parents because they need to be guided into maturity. But to recognize them as autonomous citizens from the get-go leads to a lot of incredibly scary things, right? Don't Google the quote-unquote child liberation movement and people that are involved in that.
Do not research. Is that what you're saying?
Do not research. But also a lot of leftists, a lot of like the political left, like, libs, like their whole thing is this sort of, adolescent, we are struggling for freedom against oppressive authority, which is basically just mom and dad, more so dad nowadays, right? It's like F you, mom and dad. But the reason that I bring this up is because the way that they frame the issue is that they set this up in such a way as that you are denying rights to younger people and that the parents are the ones who are obstructing those rights, and ergo the state should come in and administer, right? But so, for example, they did this with a certain medical procedure that I don't want to mention, where Planned Parenthood, if I'm not making it obvious by saying Planned Parenthood, obviously, where they had this thing where if teenage girls wanted to get this certain medical procedure, that they wouldn't tell their evil, conservative, right-wing, bigoted parents that would, force them to keep the grandchild. So that was, this argument went all the way back to the early 90s, if not the 80s with this, right? So that model has preceded a lot of political activism when it comes to children, when it comes to political issues of gender and quote unquote autonomy on the political left. So I think the problem is, though, that until recently, the political right, especially conservatives, they haven't like really come up with a method, because the way that the left operates, they're like, well, that means you hate rights. That means you hate the Constitution. That means you hate freedom or whatever. It's sort of like the selective weaponization of a particularly American setup of like liberal rights-based theory. But recently, and I hate to say, even though they're notorious callers and so forth, you do have people like Matt Walsh that are pushing back and saying, hey, listen, you want to irrevocably alter the lives of children who don't have not just a reason capacity, but it goes against the sort of the view of the left in general, not just political left, but also would say like libs, that like in just the modern world in general has this idea of like the wisdom of children are authentic and so forth. And it's like, children know better than adults, like typical Hollywood coal trash trope, right? But that carries on into political salience. And I had this tweet. I deleted my tweet dunking on Rachel Gilmore, that screen cap, because I think, it's kind of mean, But I said that, when the sort of never growing up, anarchic, F you mom and dad attitude, when that becomes political, when that becomes public policy, now you have a problem. Now you have a degradation of the social order where children are turned against parent and parent turned against children. And you're putting children, and again, like I know Dr. Phil is totally down with it, but there is one good quote he used to say, which is, you know what you do with children? If you're going through a messy divorce or you have problems, you never put children, sorry, what did he say? You never give children adult situations to handle, right? And essentially what we've done is we've said that it's a political good to give children adult situations to deal with in terms of their own identity and so forth. But to the political left, you have to realize, and I talk about this in my book, Neoliberal Catch, when it comes to art and political art and so forth, but it all relates together, is that the political left does not view it as a political issue. They view it as this is nature or this is autonomy of persons, and therefore you're the one who is politicizing it by bringing it up. They do not view this as a political issue to be contended over and so forth. They view this as like, this is just like the natural progression of things. And the reason you don't like it is because you're turning it politically. You're turning it into a political issue.
You're just a reactionary chud. Get on with the program. Yeah. It's current year.
And you want to deny people rights, and rights are sacred because we live in the absence of God. And therefore, the only thing we have is the autonomy of the self. That's the only thing that really matters. So that I think is
evil
the modus
operandi.
Yeah. But for finally, like, to reiterate though, because I think it's very important, Prude, is that this is the modus operandi in terms of normalizing certain political issues that become public policy. Is they always target the autonomy of children, just like Planned Parenthood said that we have a right not to tell the parents of young women, teenagers in high school, that they're getting this certain medical procedure because then their parents would oppress them, right? And there was these bonkers tweets by leftoids. Notice how these issues come all at once. Do you remember when leftoids were talking about gas stoves? Yeah, exactly. Straight off the cob, right? Where they're talking about, like, you know, as parents, to say that you have a right over your children, that's evil and oppressive. And it's like, they're like, the word property does not denote what being a parent is. But I think that parents have a stewardship or a conservatorship over their children for a variety of reasons. Now, this whole thing about, like, well, you know, teachers are more expert at kids than even parents because, you know, the childless cat lady that went to university has a degree. And this is, of course, the credentialization of society that a lot of, like, libs really like, you know, the therapy industrial complex of the blue, you know, the blue empire, as our good friend Apex calls it, the therapeutic state, where it's like, we have to defer to experts on everything, right? Even though for the past 3 years, the experts have failed society so fundamentally, especially in this country. They want to bring it back, by the way. What's her name? Tam, and that guy that kind of looks like Dr. Phil in Ontario with a beard. Like, they want to bring back the masks, and, you know,
I mean, they're already doing it here in America. There were already some that were talking about, like, college campuses doing it. And they were like,
I don't think they could restrict travel anymore, but they could bring back the masks.
Look, and someone asked this question the other day. They're like, it was a news article. I think it was like an op-ed at The Hill. And they were like, well, when will the COOF stop being special? And I was like, when they come up with a new state of exception, a new state of emergency where they can suspend all the rules, suspend elections or whatever, then COVID won't be special. But until then, like, they can.
In America, it will become a racial thing, I think.
Well, it doesn't even matter. In America, like, it will just be a thing that they can use, period. Like, they already broke the laws once. There's nothing that's going to stop them from doing it again. When has a leftist ever followed a court order? Like, you know, it's the same reason why after, I mean, like, it's good that, I think it was like the post-millennial that did this, but there was, like, it's right after the decision about affirmative action. And they were just like, well, we're just going to change the rules, you know, that manipulation of procedural outcomes to get a desired result, where they're like, well, we're just going to change the rules so applicants for colleges can send a video. And it's just like, well, why do you want to send a video? Well, so they can see their race. And so they had to take that back after the press was asking. But it illustrates that, like, they'll get around this shit. And I mean, COVID's, any sort of medical emergency is a great example to skirt and fly by the rules. And what's worse is that it will, like you said, it will be racial, but it will be racial along the worst types of lines.
Oh, so, what, like, I mean is that they'll have another, like, Summer of Floyd. That's what I mean.
We'll see. If they have one, I would love to know how they pull it off to make it worse than the martyrdom of Saint Floyd of fentanyl. But like, I don't know how. I really don't, because like I think not to quote our friend Nightmare Vision, I think everyone's got a little bit of fatigue.
Yeah.
There's a little fatigue there of a certain
This is why I think the COOF measures in Canada even probably won't. Because every single article where they mention it, they get bombed. They get like
that's the thing that kind of gets at me, because it's just like, what's next? That's sort of the thing that's always like gets stuck in my craw, because it's like I know whatever comes next is worse. Because like, let's see, we had the whole Floyd stuff in 2020, the suspension of the rules, the suspension of like mainstream election rules, and now
suspension of even quarantine and lockdown rules to
quarantine
riot.
and lockdown rules on a racial basis. We had medical treatments that were divvied out in certain states in America by race. If you were living in New York or places in Minnesota, Wisconsin, or even in my state in Dallas County, if you lived in Dallas County, you were on a racial triage list for monoclonal antibody treatment.
And thank God you didn't live in Dallas County at the time.
No, I didn't. I got my monoclonal antibody treatment there, though, when I got COVID the first time back in 21. And if it were not for the fact that I had a transplant, I would not have gotten that treatment. I would have been dead last. Sorry, Whitey. So like that's the future of what's to come, right? Are doctors that cheated through medical school with ChatGPT, people that are only going to treat their own kind. So good luck, white guys. And then finally, triaged sort of racial stuff there when it comes to doctors. But like, I don't know what they're going to come up with next. Like, you're going to have to nuke something for, I guess, to top Floyd and
maybe escalation in Ukraine because they're losing.
Like I said, just it's got to be a nuke. I don't know.
It's
like,
gotta be a nuke.
I don't know what they're going to do, but like, it does illustrate a very core tenet that there was a lot of political capital that was expended in Canada, especially the United States, more so than Canada, to get what they wanted. And so like, it's very, because like, this is the funny thing. And I think we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, where it was like the whole Trump interview with Tucker. Tucker's like kind of sees the writing on the wall, and he's just like, well, Mr. President,
they're going to kill you.
They're going to kill you. There's going to be civil war. And he's just, in terms like, easy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it was just like, explaining to your boomer parents or whatever, like how Netflix works. And they're like, I don't know. Like, it was just very odd. Although I don't think Trump is his guy, but like, he's been going on all these rallies. He's been doing.
There was that one clip from his rally about, like, what did he say?
About Gretchen Whitmer?
Yeah. What was that about Gretchen Whitmer?
Call her low IQ. It was great. But yeah, he was in Utica, Michigan, talking about like how bad things are and how the country's gone to hell in a handbasket. I mean, he's still got that like sort of like boomer classic American religion, like the Constitution, the Republic, democracy, and all that stuff. But like, he's doing more work to like rally for Trump while Trump is bogged down all these legal issues.
Well, I mean, Utica was like decimated by post-industrialization. God. Yeah. I mean, basically all of Michigan, but Utica. I think Utica, they say, was on par with what's the example of the town in Indiana everyone uses?
Gary,
Indiana. Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Indiana. You said, yeah, Gio, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But by the way, Indiana, birthplace of IWA Mid-South. Classic of American deathmatch wrestling. But anyways. No, I think that Trump definitely speaks to those anxieties. Whether or not he's going to win next year is another problem, because I think like there was this great video by Argent Templar. I don't think he uses Templar anymore, but he had this video where he said, like, basically they have three options. Oh my God.
I think we can put that on. Tweet. I think we can.
You want to put it up?
Screen.
All right, let's put it up.
Yeah, put it up. I just thought this was funny. I thought that chat would get a good laugh out of it.
Can you send it to? Because I have too many tabs to.
Yeah. Here, I'll do it real quick.
But anyway, so basically there's three options. I mean, either they can negotiate with Russia and just hand over the Donbass and Luhansk, or they can like slowly find a way to like peter this out, or they could like go full on and just get the Polish people to go in there and like risk World War III. But let's see this horrendous finally. Oh, Starfield's the game of the year. Oh my God, Ian Chungus. Why is Elon Musk like this guy? I don't understand. It's just.
I think he reminds him of all the labor he's outsourced throughout his years.
Oh God.
I don't
what's
know.
funny? People give Amy Therese, our girl, a lot of heat for being obsessed with American politics, but I mean, at least in Australia, I'm
going to object to the phrase "our girl."
Oh, you don't like Amy?
Whose girl is this?
Well, the scenes girl,
Okay.
The royal we.
Okay.
I like Amy Therese. She's a friend of mine. Okay.
I'm politely ambivalent.
Okay. But anyways. Oh no. No, Khalifa, you're thinking of just pearly things. Oh wait, no, I think I remember that one tweet. Anyways, no, so I'm saying like Amy Therese, at least, people give her heat, but at least, Australia is in the Anglosphere sufficiently for to be obsessed with American politics. But what is Ian Miles Chong's excuse? I don't know. I think that
money's that, I guess,
Yeah, probably.
Like that's really all I can think of. This is just like, if I keep talking about American politics, someone will notice me. I will get money, and I mean, like that can happen.
People did.
Clearly, it's worked out for him. He's living proof that you too can make money on Twitter by regurgitating talking points from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You just got to be a big enough reply guy. You too, reply guy with 30 followers. You too can be the next Ian Miles Chong.
Ian Chungus, yeah. But yeah, so when you're Australian, they get, when
you're Australian, they let you do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there was another thing too with, what the narrative they're doing with that, it wasn't OnlyFans. I think it was Chatterbait, that politician who like,
the
Gibson.
Susanna chick, Susanna Gibson. What's she on?
Yeah, yeah. So she was on Chatterbait.
Unbelievable.
What the response that they're making the libs?
What?
They're saying that it was abuse and it's revenge prawn to like put her
publicly. I called it.
Yeah, you did. You called it. Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's like, revenge prawn. You mean it's publicly available, but that's the angle they'll take until literally they can get, like, we're this close to where women politicians, like, I'm not surprised, like, and I think, honest to God, there's like a little bit of like that Tina Fey SNL thing that you want to Sarah Palin, because like Tina Fey would play with her sexuality and she would play with her looks and appearances. Like, I feel like there's this link from that to like, we're now going to make female politicians just like sexy. And we see this now with like AOC, and some people do it with like Lauren Boebert and things like that. But like, we're going to get to a point where like, we're going to fundraise on like, Chatterbait or like Aromi or whatever, like.
They'll do it. Yeah,
they'll do it. And like, they're going to raise money from it, like if AOC didn't have that like sense of class sensibility that she has to stick to, she'd be doing it in a fucking heartbeat. Like if she wasn't married and she wasn't doing that Instagram thing, she'd be doing it in a heartbeat. Cause like it makes money. Unfortunately, sex does sell. And why not? So yeah, Susanna Gibson's running for a competitive district in the Virginia House of Delegates, 57th district, and yeah, she was on Chatterbait, with her husband on live audience. The article came out and says, Chatterbait videos are streamed live on the site and are often archived publicly on other available sites. A dozen other sites are captured from that stream, and in September of 2022, she entered the race. The most recent of the two videos are archived September 30th, 2022. It is unclear when the live stream occurred, whether she was running before or after, from the Washington Post earlier this month. And I just think that it's inevitable that more women, if they have it exposed to them, it won't matter because America's that shameless at this point. But also it does illustrate that we've already created this like weird cult of the self that like, no, it will be empowering for politicians to be like, I am a sex worker. I am a prostitute. I am a whore. and I'm gonna run for Congress, and I'm gonna do this, and like it's just gonna be me, and my chest is gonna be like really revealing and whatnot. And it's like I'm gonna send it to Congress. And on the other hand, I like to think that in like 5 years from now, when like Zoomers start running for office, it will just be like Representative Maria Martinez had sold her body for $8.99 a month on OnlyFans. How quickly do you think she'll sell out to China? Vote John Carson or whatever. That's what it's going to be.
Representative like, Lisa Ann.
Representative Mike Oxlong, it's going to happen. And I'm looking forward to it.
What was the one that Ted Cruz got caught looking at?
I don't
Corey
know.
Chase? I think it was Corey Chase. She could be a politician.
Representative Corey Chase, representing the 68th district of Virginia or whatever. Like, it could happen. Why not?
Well, hey, Republicans wanted to put Bailey Love, Brandy Love. And Brandy Love.
Oh, yeah, that TPUSA conference a couple of years back.
Well, it's funny because she was.
I have a long rant on that video, and half the comments are like, "You took the bait, buddy," and I'm like, "I don't care. I wanted to bitch."
Yeah, no, it's funny because she's known for the fake zest type of content, and
it's stepbrother stuff.
It was stepmother, so that's that's like that's really good for TPUSA to but. It's funny because other politicians, like I think in Europe,
you want a mommy that you can stick you. Yeah, yep.
You want a mommy you can stick your dick. That was a great rant by Princess Carolyn. That was a great rant.
Oh God.
But no, it's funny because in Europe they have prawn stars that are politicians. I mean, wasn't it I forget which country it was, but that I wasn't like the wife of Jeff Koons a prawn star, but she also ran in Italy for something. Or I'm getting confused with another one who did prawn, but then became a politician in Italy, or it may have been France. I forget. I mean, the alt-right back in the day had a prawn star. You remember her? What was her name?
I don't, but doesn't surprise me.
Her name was like Exotica or something. I forget. This was a long time ago. But Iona
Staller.
Yeah,
she was in the Love Party. Sorry, I had to look it up. Back in the 90s. What a weird.
And she's married to Jeff Koons. Yeah.
What a weird. Yeah, she was divorced in 1994. Good God. Well, at least if it's happening.
But that was
in America,
classy stuff back in the day. That's 80s prawn. That's like not nowadays.
There was class in our porn.
Yeah, narrative back then.
I watched porn for the plot back in the 80s.
I read Penthouse for the article. I read Playboy
for the articles, not the front page.
Yeah, thank you, Seraphim Goose. Electra was the alt-right prawn star. Electra. Whatever happened to her? My God.
Did she get the electric chair?
Maybe she got indicted on some kind of anti right wing raid.
Did she get arrested for that lovely law that Governor DeSantis signed in Israel? Anything goes.
Yeah, it was exactly. See, you need to pay up these super chats for this amazing content.
It was tasteful. Listen, back in my day, my porn was tasteful. Goddammit.
We didn't. It was so tasteful.
We did Dallas. I was there for the parts.
Oh yeah, we watched it for the plot. We didn't even skip to the good parts. But yeah, so
through them titty scenes. Anyway, yeah, it's
we need but like I think the Brandy Love thing was sort of a weird experiment to see how far Republicans would go.
Well, I mean, those parties are pretty.
Yeah,
they don't have the reputation for being clean. This is not like Jim Swenson the Fifth's guy that can trace his lineage back to the Virginia House of Burgesses. It's not his golf club or country club where he's donating like $500,000 to whoever's going to bomb Iran. It's like, actually, no, here's these weird Zoomer kids on ADHD and millennials that have a weird sense of self and want to touch something. And we're going to do a lot of nose candy, and we're going to see if we can get like a porn star to like show up and talk about American values. And it's just like, that's right, America. The country's bent over, but you can save it. The Democrats have bent us on our ass for far too long, but with your help and donating to Turning Point USA, we too can say big government sucks.
Yeah.
It's awful, and I hate this shit so much.
No, but like it was appealing to like the Republican Tiger Mom type of thing where it's like like, I hate to say it, but in the far right and even the conservative right, there has always been this thing with the mother. As much as we love resisting the longhouse, I mean, maybe it was just an Italian thing, but famously Mussolini had a mother complex as well. But that probably just could have been the Italian thing. I think Franco also had his thing with his mother. Like, but I mean, like, he had this, like, his mother was his advisor. And so, like, as much as we repulse the longhouse, we still have this, like, thing about the mother. I think even Paglia talked about that with, like, far right politics and having mommy issues. I know our good friend RFH has also talked about this on the timeline. Right, Prude, our good friend?
I'm going to just anathematize that right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I have her blocked, and she has ruined too many women on the Twitter heaven site, but that's not too hard to do on Twitter.
Her recent thread was wild about how
I got these people blocked, Geo. I don't know what you're going to talk about.
It was about, like, how only women can be truly, like, can truly worship God because, like, they're a part of nature, whereas men, we're always, like, looking for the Father, so we make God the Father. It was kind of very Gnostic. It was like feminist Gnosticism. Not that I agree with it, but I think that in certain moments, I mean, she can spark certain types of thought. But then, of course,
moments she reveals how far into hell she's going.
No, but I mean, well, it's funny because I think it was Jorge of the West that said this is basically like Paglia's take that men have to create meaning. We're looking for a father versus women who have being because they are the creators themselves of life. So it's basically like a more bombastic take on Paglia. Yes, exactly. Sky Father versus Earth Mother. That was the
wasn't that
Kirkpatrick's
tweet where it was just like, the eternal because it was about the speaking of Earth Mother, Apple's awful ad.
That will go in my book, by the way, next to the Chobani commercial. But
yeah, those two like go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was James Kirkpatrick's tweet where he was just basically like, it's the Sky Father versus the Earth Mother, like it's the eternal battle. And it was just like, the Norse, thank you, all Father, let me strike down my enemies, versus like, well, according to Tim Cook and Apple, a gay man thinks that his god is an obese black woman. That's Mother Nature to him.
That one movie she was in was pretty good, where, like, she tried to be like, I felt sad.
Are you talking about The Shack?
Yeah, where, like, she tried to be the cool single woman with all these, like, kids that just want to do drugs and drink in her house.
I don't think that was The Shack. I think that's a different movie.
No.
But like, I don't know.
Good call.
Oh yeah, the Isle of Mouse. Yeah,
we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get
tell me how much I don't care.
Wait, James Kirkpatrick is face doxed?
He's given speeches. Yeah, like James Kirkpatrick is just one alias that he uses.
Yeah.
Like, he's been around with VDare for like years.
Yeah, forever.
He's got great talks. Like, yeah, his face has been around. He's a good-looking guy. He's a pretty productive member.
Oh, yeah.
But like,
wow, he is.
Why is this news?
Oh my God, he is a good-looking guy.
Yeah. Like, it's just rather that. Can we just do the Mexico thing now? Let's just get to the Isle of Mouse.
You want to get to it? Okay.
Let's get it over with.
I thought you wanted to put up the tweet by Patrick Casey, but
which tweet?
You were talking about the Google. You want to save the Google one?
Which Google one?
Sorry, Apple. Oh my God, Apple, because Google had a woke thing too, but Apple.
Fine. The Apple thing, like they're talking about carbon zero, and it's just a bunch of like.
Buy my book when it comes out. That's how you'll know about it. Buy my book.
But no, it was just. I'm on fumes. We're having a good time. But
my GF said we're kind of like Leo and Stitch. So, anyways, go ahead. You're on fumes, man. Yeah.
I need a cigarette. Good God. No, like it's really frustrating. Like, Tim Cook, famous gay guy, runs Apple, has this advertisement about going carbon zero, and Octavia Spencer plays as Mother Nature, just the catonic mother, and American 2023 religiosity terms. If we're screw you for smoking a cigarette on the air. But like,
sorry, bro. You said it.
But it's just like, this is it. And so every lunchtime rowdy, every scholar, every strapped teenager, every baby-faced looking youth, every time that the media comes up with a new euphemism, it is Arthur C. Clarke's 9 billion names of God for liberals being played out right before our faces. And it shows itself quite clearly in its own idolatry and in its own forms of media and movement of religious films, that in 2023, liberal America's sole entity of divine worship is that of the Black Catonic Mother. And here we are. And it's awful. And I really don't have much to say other than that, like, in my country, that's what the progressives worship, and it's frustrating and it's tiresome. And you can promote this shit all you want. At the end of the day, I know who I'm locking my doors around and who I'm not spending my time around when it comes to walking alone on a street late at night.
Man, you're savage, Prude, today.
Don't ride the subway, I'm sorry, like, let's have our weekly simultaneous greatest sip.
Yeah, I
sometimes you just got to get the fuck away from them.
Just got the fuck away. There's no fixing this.
There's no safe. There's no fixing this. Just got to get the fuck away from them.
No, but I think that there is a lot of symbolism because the carbon neutral thing about Apple, because sleek, progressive, corporate capitalist, like environmentalism. Like my tweet did well where I said this is like neoliberal kitsch, because it literally is. It's like, this is the definition of like neoliberal social awareness. It's like, we're worshiping Gaia, who happens to be an Earth Mother, African-American Earth Mother, but also we are a corporation that's giving you the black portal into the online world. So it's like,
I mean, instead of a black sun or spinny wheel, it's just a black woman.
Yeah, it's just I think I should remove that tweet. Let's see.
Which tweet?
How do you remove tweets?
Like delete tweets, or
yeah, I mean, sorry, delete comments.
Oh, I'm scrolling through now and looking at it. Proudly prejudiced individual.
No, Khalifa, just be careful next time. But no, yeah, so there's not much to say on it. I mean, when I get down to writing it in relation to the Solar Punk Chobani commercial, maybe I'll have more of an but it does reveal a lot of, like, the fact that people saw immediately that it was cynical. Yeah, exactly, internet friend, the contemptuous. And she had to be contemptuous as well. Like, she was like, with her arms crossed, and it's just like
pauses for dramatic effect. Just no, yeah. Welcome. It's be chill on YouTube, and it's just like, it's just lo-fi beats to relax and be racist too. Ariana Grande warned us that was coming in 2017 when that female God song came out. Oh yeah, the whole God is a woman thing.
God is a woman.
But I mean, Ariana Grande was way ahead of the game when she was like changing her race every 5 seconds, and she was like, "Listen, this is the way that you're going to have to survive in the 2010s and 2020s."
She was Italian, then she was Latina.
It's like, I'm Italian. It's like she was pulling the Bill de Blasio. She's like, I'm gay. I'm Jewish. I'm
Muslim.
Black, I'm Muslim. I'm Hispanic. I'm queer. Like, that's she's basically there.
The best was when Titus, Here Lies Thighs, he tweeted
he just followed me back.
He tweeted I'm a wignat, I'm a groiper, I'm a trad, I'm an imp, like, I'm a trad cat.
Don't compare me to fucking Patton Oswalt, don't do that, buff. You depress me.
How are you compared to Patton Oswalt?
Because he says he reminds me of Spencer from King of Queens. I resent that remark. But see, this is what happens when I read chat.
You have kind of a similar delivery, but not anything else.
Oh, boy. Well, maybe just like the IT crowd, I'll just jump off of a 38-story window.
By the way, did you know that that there was something with China recently.
What's there?
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, people were mentioning that in the Apple commercial about how, Apple is such a responsible corporation that they even give their workers in China hammock nets near the side of the building. So if they feel tired, they could just like go in the hammock net.
Sure, I can't wait for. I want the Apple sponsor. I want the little apple with the bitten out logo by the suicide net. I can't wait. That way, when we hire all these like H-1B visa guys to come in, and the Indians are like, "Well, we don't want to work for Tim Cook. We want to do whatever," and then they just like fall into the hammock. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Although it's like the essay I wrote called "I Dream of Martian Soil," where it's just like the movie The Martian's a really great example of that too, where it's just like the 2020s diversified liberal America, where it's just like a diverse cast of characters and all sorts of religions all here to bring the guy home, and then all of a sudden it's the monolithic, mono-ethnic Chinese like space program. And it's like we got our Cold War cooperation going for the modern audience, but at the same time, you're like, which one of these is going to be more successful in the future? I don't know. It's always just fun to see how that gets played out. But now we're copying them. We have our nets, we have our hammocks. I'm so excited. It'll be great. I can't wait for someone to make the accusation that Apple has suicide nets in their offices in California. I'm so excited.
Oh, they'll import them from China and they'll put them in the ones in California. So
only a matter of time. It's like Lockheed Martin having a merch store and all the Asian guys are the models for them. It's like, hey buddy, if you're gonna steal our intellectual property and spy for China, get some quick merch on the way, like
yeah, on your way down.
When you sell this shit to Israel, at least tell us where you got it from.
Or when Israel sells it to China.
Courtesy of Lockheed Martin.
Yeah. Why does Lockheed Martin have an office in Tel Aviv?
I don't. That's a great question. We're gonna go find out. Lockheed.
They have to.
Martin, Tel.
Well, because we were gonna talk about 9/11, so the
legacy they do. They do. They have Lockheed Martin, Israel, and Tel Aviv.
There you go. I knew I was right. I knew it. See, they can make it more efficient to sell secrets to the Chinese.
So true.
But, that's so true. That's yeah.
I buy fake latest iPhone from Italian to impress girls. So true, Vitalis. You never you show them the fake iPhone and then you call them on your crappy Android. That's how we play girls. That's how you play the game now with girls. Lockheed acknowledges Jerusalem as the true capital, obviously. Yeah, but their offices in Tel Aviv, obviously.
They had to switch allegiance from Obama to Trump when they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but then Trump didn't give him nearly as many military contracts. So I guess the Lockheed Martin's like, oh, I guess you better donate to the Democrats forever, Then at least they'll start a war about human rights or something. But yeah, so I guess
I saw an ad that said the best holiday location for gays, Tel Aviv. There's actually a really substantially high proportion of the LGBT population that is Israeli. Yeah. It's very strange. But it's funny because that's the ultimate political battle that's happening inside Israel. It's just you have a really far right,
Likud,
Likudic minority of but also really Orthodox Jews versus the more secular Reform liberal types that are embraced sort of the more global homo aspect of it, and only one side is having kids. It's the weird Orthodox Jews that are doing it. It is it's interesting.
They might have to change the military service thing though if they want to.
I mean, they're going to have to if they want to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean that is a big problem demographically when you have a huge percent of the population. The only percent of the population is actually having kids, not being neglected for military service in a country that demands it of everybody else. That is kind of
yeah, it's going to be strange.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe we'll have a third intifada. Who knows? I mean, if things get really bad, I mean, it is I mean.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens between Armenia and Azerbaijan because Iran is supplying Armenia and Israel's hey, stop that, and then the Russians and Turks are involved. So who knows?
I saw a lib today say that it's all Russia's fault of Armenia.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really. I saw their logic was that oh God, what was the argument? That something about like Russian disinformation, how that translates to like the conflict, even though they're the only ones that are support. In fact, the West, they're like throwing Armenia under the bus because, as we know, it could potentially open up another front with the Russians, right? So for some reason, it's like, I don't know, it's Russia's fault. That would be the narrative. Everything is Russia's fault when it comes to geopolitics.
Everything's Russia's fault.
Like for example, according to the Failinger doctrine, 9/11 was also Russia's fault.
He is something else. And I kind of
Sean McCarthy, like, who pointed out, he's like, no, actually, they warned.
Yeah, they warned.
Whoa. They warned Washington. They're like, you know that these are the targets. And
really, there's Sean McCarthy. You know who really knew? You really want to know who knew ahead of time? He won't ever talk about the fact that Mossad knew first.
Well,
we know. It's the CIA, man. It's always the CIA. It's always about capital. It's about neoliberal imperialism. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's not Sean.
I like Sean McCarthy.
It's not Sean. The CIA is not as almighty, all-powerful, omnipresent as you believe. During the entirety of the Cold War, all U.S. typewriters in the embassy of the United States inside of Russia were bugged. We did not know until decades later. Tell me how mastercraft we were, and please take that, slop of Tom Clancy making us look so fucking cool, when in reality we actually would have lost pretty handily if
that was like. There was another video by that guy that that kind of like, he's got a weird face. The guy that works for Nike, he's like a marketing guy.
That weird
Hispanic guy.
Yeah, thank you for being kinder than I was going to be. Yeah, he's got the weird childish fat face, and he's doing all these
he had the thing about the CIA
TikToks.
funding right-wing groups and it was
the
some
United
other,
States Central Intelligence Agency funded more anti-colonialist and worked with more Marxist groups than we ever did the right wing. But yeah, go off, King.
Of course, well, they always use the Contras as an example, and
one example. Then please look at the entirety of the African continent.
What about Pinochet? What about
Pinochet? What about Salvador Allende? One example does not prove them.
Bernie tweeted the anniversary of 9/11 about Salvador Allende.
Who did?
Bernie.
Oh.
But
I'm not surprised for a guy that, did his honeymoon in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. This is the anniversary of Salvador Allende. It's right on 9/11. He got bodied.
Well, it was like Ilhan Omar last year, where she was she included the hijackers as victims list. Ooh. What a time to be alive in America.
You hate America because it's the great Satan, or you hate America because you're a lib and they fund colonial. Yeah, you
hate America because it's the great Satan, but you also have to play lip service to the country you're ruining. So you got to include the terrorists as the victims. She was ahead of the game. She was including terrorists as victims before the Nashville incident. So hey, she's a trendsetter.
Yeah,
I can give her that. She's a trendsetter.
I can't believe who's the head guy there.
Oh, Marbley's comment. Oh, that's fucking funny.
First one in that tower.
They were the first ones. No, they weren't. I mean, the people who were inside were, but yeah.
Who is the head guy?
Head guy of what?
The hijackers.
I don't know the names of them, but
I know his name. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Was it the guy whose passport we conveniently found?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Glad that survived.
Found his passport.
Glad that survived the crash.
Muhammad Atta. Yeah, So it's funny how you include him on the list of the victims. Muhammad, but of course they were a victim of brainwashing, and so that's Ilhan Omar's take. But anyway, should we go to
now watch this drive.
Should we go into 9/11?
Sure. It's been 22 years. America is witnessed in the last 22 years the decline of its imperial might. and we joke about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to add, like it used to be this solemn thing that would get people worked up, and now it isn't. And it's very strange to see how it's evolved from like a liberal irony standpoint. Because like, you go back 11 years ago, no, even earlier. I don't know when the movie came out. I'm going to like Google it real quick because I've talked about this before on the show. It's a 2011 film. Okay, so it's called God Bless America. It's set like 10 years after 9/11, and it's set at the present moment. It's just a sort of like a very progressive film in a lot of ways, where this
I know that one. Yeah,
like the vet's all like pissed off about like how modern society sucks, and he's just gonna like it's like a liberal irony falling down, where this guy
it's like it's like Michael Moore, but
it's
down.
Michael Moore's falling down is what it is. And I don't know who directed the movie. I wonder if Michael Moore did have something involved with it. That'd be a great question. God
it's
bless.
Bashar al-Assad's birthday?
No way.
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like Bobcat Goldthwait, Tara Lynn Barr, Joel Murray, names that you really can't think about anymore. I just want to know who directed it, though. Oh, it was a Bobcat Goldthwait movie. But yeah, and it's just like, Matt, it's basically like you had said, it's Moore's version of falling down, where this guy is just like, I'm so tired of like consumer culture. I'm so tired of like people exploiting
like
the
Bill
mentally...
O'Reilly people.
Yeah, the Bill O'Reilly people. And like, I'm so tired of it. I'm sure that it is George, because like he teams up with like a teenage girl and they go on this like killing spree. And it ends with him going out guns blazing. And basically what was American Idol, because like they had saw on the TV that some like mentally I'll try to use
challenged.
A mentally challenged person being like made fun of, and he said he's threatening to kill himself because of the humiliation. And then the potato kid is just like, well, actually, I said all those things so that I could get back on TV again and like blast his face
like
on like
the
live
Ringer.
television. And yeah, like the Ringer, but they blow him up anyways, and that's how more or less the movie ends. And it's just like we went from like this weird liberal exasperation of like irony, masochism, and murder to where now
and the
it's
culture's
like,
degrading and everything's getting
worse. Like it was like almost as if the progressive was acting like a reactionary, and then now it's all the absolute other way around.
Now it's the embracing of pop culture as being the instantiation of liberal ideology, left liberal ideology, and now the right wing is like, no, this is evil and terrible. As Angela Nagel said, the great Gramscians. Yeah. But anyways, go ahead, Prude.
It's just, to me, it's I don't know what to add. Like we've talked about this before, and I'm going to take care of that.
Well, I think like Charlemagne and John, Mr. D had a space on this.
Yeah, they did. They did a whole space. I was in it for a little bit, where they were just sort of like taking on the conspiracy theories surrounding it. Like, you don't have to be, I don't think you need to go all out saying like holograms, controlled or whatever. Everyone knows that Saudi Arabia played a much larger role in it, as did the Israeli intelligence services, that we will never know the full truth about in our lifetimes. And that the 9/11 Commission report was underfunded, understaffed, and was meant to answer no questions that the families of survivors and victims had.
Iraq was totally fumbled.
And Iraq was totally fumbled.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Riveting thesis, the world sucks. Yes, Mr. Anxiety Flop, it does.
I think, like, people don't realize, I said this under Keith Wood's tweet, but you know that YouTuber GDF?
No, I don't.
Is it GDF? He had this video, like, recently about the Iraq War, and he talks about, like, Vietnam and Iraq, and when you like realize the scale of which Rumsfeld and all those people, like, really, it's nothing but evil, in my opinion. Because here's the thing: Rumsfeld was prescribed by the Chinese general who was the head. What was his name? Pataki? I don't think he was Chinese. I think he was Filipino or something. Pataki, is it his name?
I don't know.
He was prescribed.
He was the governor of New York, right? George Pataki?
No, he was the general, the head general at the time.
Cool. I'm going to look him up. There's... No, I mean there's
Yeah,
just George
exactly. GDF.
Pataki.
Yeah, he does the anti-American videos. Yeah.
Oh, the guy that says how all those soldiers got smoked so easily or whatever. Are those his videos?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but it was a good video though, because what happened was they pursued a policy of debathification where they fired all of like the government workers, including the military in Iraq, when they toppled the Saddam regime and he went to hiding and so forth.
Yeah.
And so basically, the Ba'athist Party was a moderate party that they could have worked with. They could have worked with the Iraqi military, the Republican Guard. But you have a lot of very armed, very pissed off men that you basically destroyed their income. Saddam emptied the prisons of all the political prisoners and radical Islamists. Because you know what happened before? When there was no crime virtually on the streets of Iraq. You know what Saddam did to radical Islamists that were trying to have political influence in Iraq? He just straight up rounded them up. Or he did other things to them, which I can't mention in the show.
It makes me, you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of, oh, what would happen if we invaded El Salvador?
Yeah. So, oh God, I hope that's not foreshadowing anything.
I pray to God that we don't invade El Salvador or anything like that. I'm just, that's sort of the equivalent.
So what happened was they pursued debathification. They created political districts of different parties that, literally injected the problem of radical Islam into Iraq when the issue was almost, non-existent because Saddam got rid of them. And then you have metric tons of munitions and military hardware and small arms that flooded Iraq from both, funding them because of the Iran-Iraq war. So they had both Soviet and American military hardware, and especially all of those shells that they used for IEDs. And then on top of that, Donald Rumsfeld pursued a corporate model of warfare. So instead of, I think his name is General Pataki, he said, we need the Bosnian model, okay? We need the Bosnian model where there's one American serviceman for every 50 people in Iraq, right?
I really don't think it's Pataki. I don't think that's the name.
No. Well, let's see.
I really don't think that's it.
Iraq War Generals. Yeah. Not Pataki. Let's see.
Pataki was the governor of New York for a while.
But he was the Asian one. He was the Asian one during 2003. So he said that you need the Bosnian model. But then, no, it wasn't Petraeus. It was the guy before Petraeus. But then, of course, Rumsfeld, he gave them a quarter. He gave them 100,000 men. They needed 300,000 men, American servicemen, to invade Iraq. So they're like, well, you know what? It's like, we're just going to have private military contractors come in. Yeah, sorry, he's Japanese, not Chinese. He was Japanese, I think. He's a Japanese general. So Japanese American. Yeah. So he's like, so the whole thing was fumbled from the beginning. So my grand point here is that the leaders in Washington sent American troops into basically a slaughterhouse. And it's like they didn't, it boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. The mistakes that were made, the purposeful mistakes that were made. Shinseki, sorry. Shinseki. Thank you, Joshua Ham. But no, before Joshua Ham, it was who else said Shinseki? George Sagan, yeah. So thank you both. Yeah, it's General Shinseki. He's like, you need the Bosnian model. We needed at least 300,000 men to deal with Iraq. So you sent them in a lawless, borderless place with flooding with weapons for as far as the eye could see. This is what, with a small expeditionary force, this is what you send the American servicemen in. Now, you want to know why the American GIs and veterans, why are they dying out of sunsetting more than actual combat from all those 20 years? I wonder why. Right? So, and what did it accomplish? I mean, let's face it. I'm not going to lie to you. even though, I've taken more of a friendlier stance towards the Russians. But there was some sense that the Kremlin thought that, well, America, they just like basically fumbled a 20-year war in Afghanistan and a 20-year war in Iraq. So it's like, I guess they're not going to have another 20-year war in Eastern Europe, right? So they were wrong about that one, by the way. They were wrong because they underestimated, many such cases. Because, the Kremlin being wrong about things is kind of
part and parcel.
Yeah. So, they didn't underestimate the religiosity. Okay, look at the Citrello rant by the impossible woman they have there. People wanted us to talk about this, where it's literally a Marvel movie.
It's Ukraine
the
thing.
Evil Russians. Yeah, they're gonna. Can you imagine if they're gonna talk about? They're gonna talk about publicly redacting a man who's been on this show. Can you imagine that if that's what they were talking about? Not to name names, but you could guess.
Yeah, that individual looks like something out of a David Cronenberg film. It's that grotesque. But if you look at that man's face, he's doing the whole dramatic sneer, like he's talking
woman
about
for YouTube
evil.
purposes, a woman.
It's a man. Let's not kid ourselves.
I'm just, yeah.
Well, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay.
It'll be fine. But this man is got that evil face, looking like he's just talking about how evil these people are and how I'm going to just sneer and talk about how I'm disgusting.
We're going to hunt down all Russian propagandists
and we're going to kill them all. Anyway, so he's
it's a Star Wars dialogue. It's a theater kid dialogue. Yeah, go ahead.
It is. It's like that theater kid occupied government meme. Absolutely. But what is frustrating about that is that it's the peak epitome of how in 2011, right? And this is the WikiLeaks stuff that's been talked about, where the narrative shifted to help the European armed forces to do to stay in, and they were like, well, we're going to switch it to feminism now. That was the narrative shift about the Afghanistan
and Hillary's going to be the girl boss that said, we came, we saw, he died.
We're going to do the lean in feminism, and we're going to talk about how important it is to stay in Afghanistan because the girls' schools lean in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And instead, we've transitioned to where lean in feminism has given way to lean in male feminism, which has led to trans shit. And so, yeah, but anyways, it indicates this is the grotesque conclusion of where we're at, and I don't have a lot of words for it because it is so evil, and because what is that person getting to do? Getting to engage in real life a psychosexual fantasy where he leaves his wife and kids, puts the hair all blonde and down.
Oh, they had a wife and kids?
I'm pretty sure they did. And also there've been volunteers that have had wives and kids and have left. But
of course, yeah.
And so all that it is that just the ultimate conclusion of sort of well, how far can we take the messaging? We're now, we have volunteers and we have a tranny running out and about, playing as news anchor to tell the English speaking and the Western world, this is the war that we're fighting. We're going to take down those evil Ruskies, and we're going to do everything that our possible can. Please don't look directly into the camera where you're going to see a person with fake breasts and grown out dyed blonde hair tell you with a voice that does not pass and is I don't have anything else to say before I start. Go ahead.
Notice how they have to include God at the end for the Ukrainians for their benefit.
Tell me how great it is that you have God on your side fighting this conflict. It's a literal.
Might as well just say the Force, right? That's.
Well, they've done that. They did that. The whole was it Ukraine or was it no? It was NATO. It was the whole NATO tweet about Marvel and Harry Potter and stuff like that. That was the tweet, and it was just unbelievable. And now there's dialogue about actually having people with Ukrainian passports that are men that have left the country to have them recalled or sent them back. And I saw this because Lutvak was tweeting about it. He was just all well, no, I'm not talking about deporting all Ukrainians back to Ukraine to fight this war, but those that aren't citizens of other countries, they should go fight.
Is that legal where we can deport people to fight in a war in another
I have
country.
no idea. But does legality even matter in a time where we can get psyoped into the next war super quickly anyways? Like, it's been years of like Ghost of Kiev, missile strikes in Poland, and like, did something happen there? Like, I don't think it would require any sort of existing law for them to come up with some extrajudicial reason to force people to fight in a war that they have no reason fighting for, or wanting to be a part of.
Yeah, no, but I just think it's particularly evil to just force that you have no real geopolitical interest in besides getting at rival competition that has no benefit to the American people or in Canada or Britain or wherever, to like force these young men who are fleeing a war zone that know that they're going to get drafted, that know they have a very good chance of dying in a horrific manner, to like force them on behest of another country that isn't even technically a part of NATO, even though, well, we all know
they want to be.
Yeah, but like, or they practically are at this point. It's like, it's evil. It's totally evil. Like, it's, can you imagine like if Canadians sent back Americans trying to flee the GI Bill, the draft in Vietnam? Can you imagine that if we did that? No, we like, there's Canadians to this day that there's Americans this day living in Canada, boomers who escaped the Vietnam War by coming up to Canada, so.
And we'll never go back.
I actually have a neighbor who actually fought in Vietnam. He was in Khe Sanh. And my old man gets some cigarettes from the reserve. He legitimately fought in Khe Sanh. He's got like the tattoos and everything. And but I think he came to Canada because his wife was here or something, his ex-wife. So he's a great dude. Yeah, Wolf. He's a great dude. It's funny because like his neighbor hates him. So whenever my old man drops cigarettes off, he goes, "Oh, sorry, Mike. He's got a hot LZ." He like still uses the lingo and everything. Hot LZ. Oh man, but yeah, it's terrible, man. And I just think that no one's sending Ukrainians back. Well, you never know. You never know. But anyways, so my point being,
it's not like even most of them went to Canada, so no, they're not going to get sent back. They're going to just stay there, and they can fight it out with the Indians and the Chinese over what rules are ever left of George Grant's Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Trudeau recently came back. His WestJet plane was did you see that?
No, I didn't actually.
What an embarrassment. So first Modi snubs him. Even though like, I think like 5% or 6% of Canadian population is made up of
it got stuck from India.
Yeah, he got stuck there because of his WestJet plane.
Whoo.
Yeah, I know. Really embarrassed. Even though Modi gave him the cold shoulder, because here, like, okay, let me just rant for a little bit.
Yeah. I'm reading the article, but rant.
Like, Trudeau has a rocky relationship from 2018 where he makes an absolutely embarrassing display of himself and his whole family wearing the traditional garb. And Modi is an ultra nationalist.
Yeah, he's the Hindu nationalist.
Yeah, he's a Hindu nationalist, right? He's a man who studied Vedanta, right? He hates the Muslims. So what does Trudeau do? Instead of repairing the relationship, he admonishes Modi for cracking down on the pro-Muslim protests in this one region. I forget the name of it. This region in India. And he like says that I want to freeze talks because you're going over to the Kremlin or you're going over to South Africa to have the BRICS meeting. And Trudeau's like, well, we support the Ukrainian 100% because we're controlled by Chrystia Freeland, the Ukrainian lobby in Canada, right? So, so Trudeau, India is a huge trade partner with Canada. There's about like 5 to 6% of all Canadians, quote unquote, that come from India, or at least, that are born
much?
here. I think it's upwards of almost 4 to 5% of Canadians are Indians.
Aren't you guys like only the population of California?
Well, 40 million.
38, so 40 million. Good God.
Yeah, a lot of them are Indians that have newly arrived Canadians, quote unquote. So, so India is a crucial, trading partner and ally to Canada, and Trudeau basically just screwed everything up. by being a total asshole. Yeah, it feels like 15. Well, if you go to downtown Niagara Falls, it does feel like 15% Indian now landed in the streets.
Good God. I mean, like, I didn't know it was that bad.
Well, it depends. There's more, like in Vancouver, there's more Chinese people. Down here in Ontario, there's more Indian people. So, no, it's like the thing is, like, Modi, and like, listen, I don't agree with the way that Christians are treated in India, obviously. But I mean, I don't know. Is Modi a bad leader? No, he's not. Modi's a pretty decent leader.
He's not a bad leader for the majority of his people.
Exactly. For the majority of his people, he's not a bad leader. I mean, for the Muslims and Christians, he's not a good leader. But, in terms of the vast majority of Indians that are Hindu, so, this is the thing. Like, Trudeau, he just screwed everything up. Like, he always does. He always does. But anyways, my point being is that when it comes to these geopolitical issues, there is a through line between the events that transpired after 9/11, the Iraq and Afghanistan war, 2008, and of course what happens in Eastern Europe. I mean, you could say that the administration like whether it was Bush or Obama, they kind of had to ignore Eastern Europe for a little bit, especially when 2014 happened, but not really, right? So,
well, I mean, that was a big part of like Bush was to like, you had the two NATO conferences in 2008, you had the invasion of Georgia, you had color revolutions that happened in 2004. Like, I mean, these are long-term like projects.
They took
that
Crimea.
did take place. Like, I mean, that's why I do kind of buy into it, where they're like, and I don't know who mentioned it. It was on this show where someone in chat was just like, why is this war in Ukraine so important? Because it is like the new foreign policy establishment, the new political class that's trying to take over. And like Trump was an interruption to that. And that's why they want him gone. And I mean, like, if they're going to off him, they're going to off him. But like, still, like, this is a war of the next foreign policy elite, and it is not as competent as the one that came before it.
Yeah. No, but my point being is that, like, when we were dealing with our own issues in the Middle East, the Russians were dealing with their own issues, when Putin first got in there, after the fall of the Soviet Union and the economic devastation of Russia and so forth. But also, I think the way that the narrative of why we pursue geopolitical conflicts was shaped and molded by Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, really, it was shaped by Vietnam.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, both Bush and Kerry debated that this war was not to be like Vietnam in 2004. Like, this was a very prominent talking point that stuck, because both of those guys were old enough to remember the war. And I mean, Kerry served. Kerry threw his medals. Kerry protested. Bush got off easy with the Air Force Reserve bit. Like,
he got off really easy.
And so you've got
railing lines in the office,
absolutely. And so just to me, it is indicative of the fact that, like, we're going to be like, whatever conflict comes next, and you already see it talking about it, like, is this going to turn into another Syria? Like, that's what I compare this kind of conflict to, because it is a cold conflict between a government inside there that we do not like, that is supported by another proxy conflict, much in the same way that the war in Ukraine is. And so, like, you have a proxy conflict that's killing thousands of people that will have money and guns flow into the hands of other terrorist organizations.
60,000 men in 3 months.
And will be frozen in a lot of ways along these sort of front line. I mean, like, obviously, I think that there will be more advances and offenses that come from the Russians.
Yes, yeah.
But, like, we're going to see a winter freeze, and it's going to be nasty and ugly, and it's going to get worse. And so, I mean, who must go, right? Like the meme with Assad or whatever, right? Like, it's going to happen, I think, with, like, Putin must go or whatever, or, Zelensky must go. Like, it's going to be that way for both sides.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an ugly, drawn out, expensive, and bloody war, as it has been now for almost 2 years. And it has been an absolute disaster for the people that live in both of those countries, because thousands of young bodied men, fighting age men, are dead. And what is there to replace it? It will most likely be Slavic, non-European people.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is too, like, as let's not kid ourselves. Like, I've done my share bit of Vatnik posting, but I do think that, the justification for the war on the Russian side, I mean, you could say that Putin had a romantic narrative of bringing the brother peoples together. That's the stuff that he's gotten from Ivan Ilhan, the Russian philosopher. But really, like, that dream is gone. A lot of it was just like sheer power politics of, we don't want NATO encroaching, and they were given these promises and so forth. And so I'm not saying like the Russian intentions were not pure, obviously, right? No intention is ever pure when it comes to war.
Yeah.
And I think that the tragedy is that, even if they were to freeze the war, or if there was an off ramp that they could negotiate the Donbass to say that, okay, these people are ethnically Russian, blah, blah, blah. But, like, Ukraine will always be fundamentally, irrecoverably changed from last year onwards. And that's no getting around that fact. Even if the Western part does join NATO, that'll just accelerate things, if anything. Right? So, the thing is with Iraq and Afghanistan is that when the irony of it is that Iraq was fundamentally changed into an unstable, lawless society filled with different factions. But I hate to say it, Afghanistan, if you were to go to Afghanistan in 1995 when the Taliban took over, and you go to Afghanistan nowadays, it's the same. 20 years of fighting a war, it's the same, right? So what does that say about what happened when those towers fell, what us millennials were thrusted into, and the commitment of the empire towards other peoples, but also to its own people, right? I mean, these are questions that I think were purposefully covered up during the Obama years, as we've said before. But when you actually look at what happened, and you look at the fact that it didn't change anything, that all of the strategic goals that America was told to pursue by people like Zbigniew Brzezinski, by people that certainly have ties to Israel and so forth. Keith Woods had the video on it. All of the goals, whether it was controlling the pipeline, whether it was having dominance in the region against both China and Iran, dominance in the region against Russia and Syria, all of those goals, it was like it was put in a holding pattern for 20 years. But all of those goals are not met. China's building the pipeline. They're making deals with the Taliban. The Iranians actually have allies in the world stage now. And you took a broken, backwater, looted, failed state of Russia, and you made it almost like a peer competitor. So, when it comes to elite mismanagement, I mean, maybe listen, maybe it's just they hate us, the people in Washington. Maybe it's because the Bushes were so evil, the Obamas were so evil. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't explain what has happened in that 20-year period without looking at like the monumental failures and the misery that was inflicted upon the world because of those things. And the origin of it, again, was that one day 22 years ago that at least me and you, we remember. But, there are people in our audience that don't remember, that are young.
People in our audience that were born after.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, again. So, Langdon Industries, to another Canadian point, said, I wish Harper came back. And, maybe Harper would be a competent bureaucrat. But Nudge Union said, yeah, Stephen Harper would open the floodgates of migration. So there's a lot of reasons why, in terms of the economics of Canada, why we have like unlimited immigration, which is really just, a housing Ponzi scheme. But, I think like when you look at all of the things that have happened after that day 22 years ago, I mean, it's incredible. This is why I disagree with Charlemagne when he said like it doesn't really matter. I mean, it kind of does still matter. Not in the sense that we have to like, mourn over it over and over again. But I think that, 9/11 has so much ramifications in terms of the trajectory of Western civilization after that day was fundamentally changed. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was the way it was supposed to be, right? Because like people were talking about like what would have happened if if Jeb Bush didn't take Florida for his brother and Al Gore got in, what would he have done differently? Who knows, right?
I don't know. I mean, like it's the same thing with like Gore and whatnot. Like, like you just mentioned, like we won't know. We'll never know. In the same way, like we'll never know what happened if the Soviet Union was still around or if the Reich never fell, right? Like you'll never know those questions. And so we live in the world that we live in. We have the gift of hindsight and we can at least report on it. And like I don't view it as I mean, I do. Like a country irreparably changed. Yeah. And so much of it, it's hard to like entangle the two. Like it's hard to see the connection, say, between like the radical critical theory shit that just like turned America into like the progressive monster that it was on its tracks to become. But like also at the same time, like the foreign policy situation had changed everything. Like it quickly became a story of like revenge, or like this revanchist crusade to no, actually, like the Afghans should have gay marriage. Like it's radical to think that only in like 10 years time from the war, like that's what the discussion was really being about.
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't just about stopping honor killings or coming to sort of the Douglas Murray sort of atheistic sensibilities of a liberal and a nominally Christian country.
And we hate Islam because they're not liberal enough.
Yeah, right. Like it was like Christopher Hitchens was like total atheistic jihad. We must end all backwards Abrahamic religions. To now it's like they don't worship our sodomy. They don't worship the Catonic mother of, Octavia Spencer. War must be waged. And, if God doesn't do something to this country, he owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. Like it became, like as the values of the empire changes, so too does the mission of whatever particular engagement the empire is currently under. And another thing too is I think that 9/11 unleashed geopolitics done as mass panic and state of exception. Now, you could say that World War II is kind of like that, but it was more so like the immediacy of it, the fact that like there was this revenge narrative, because people remember Bush was loved at one point in America. He was loved, right? I mean, he's hated
right after 9/11 is what it was.
Yeah.
Like it was right after the attacks, where it's like polling numbers soared up.
It was Lee Greenwood, the first,
and he shot and he wasted it, and he wasted it.
Yeah,
he could have used. I mean, I get it. Revenge had to happen. There was no way in hell you took that and then you were like, we're going to use all this energy.
Maybe they should have bombed Saudi Arabia. that could have been.
There's no way in hell that was ever going to happen. I think that would have,
of course,
arguably, that would have probably caused more terrorism than.
Oh yeah.
What was Osama's complaint? That we had bases in the Holy Land, And we're not about Israel. We're talking about Saudi Arabia to them.
Oh, if a stray, you mean to tell me if a stray tow missile went to the Kaaba, that would have caused more terrorism worldwide, Prude? You tell me that's real? You tell me they believe in their religion, Prude?
They kind of do.
Yeah,
they kind of do.
Yeah. Can you imagine that though? If a missile hit the Kaaba, what would happen to the world at that point? I can't even. In the early 2000s,
I cannot voice my honest opinion.
No, like it would have been apocalyptic. Literally,
it would have been the end of the world.
Yeah.
It would have been the end of the world.
Yeah, because then you would piss off all the secular Muslims too.
Well, because every Muslim in the world would have gone to arms.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that would have caused worldwide terrorism in almost every country.
Asia, China, even. I mean, other parts besides Malaysia.
It would have been an avalanche
Muslim
of terrorism. Every Muslim majority country would have more or less declared war on like the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, the Middle East would just be a huge wars. Israel would have been fucked, so.
Hey, you would have gotten your eschaton, Baptists. Like Israel would have. You're
sending troops.
Your Larry B. Jenkins style eschaton, left behind, nukes flying in the air, is going to war.
Yeah, you notice how Saudi Arabia, they're kind of immune from all of the chaos of the Middle Eastern politics,
because they're the ones that start it, and they're like the head of OPEC.
Yeah. You know what they do to their migrants that come from Ethiopia? They just blow them up like that. hey, man.
I mean,
like,
I mean, Israel deports them or sterilizes them.
Yeah. So, well,
Because aren't they called like aren't Ethiopian Jews considered like isn't it like called Beta Israel or whatever? And like there's a huge ethnic tension.
I don't know. Can we
between,
talk about this on YouTube, Prude?
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
but like, isn't there?
Well, hey, leftoids they don't like Israel either, so I guess.
But I don't even mean this to be like I don't even mean this in like a boycott or BDS thing. I just mean this like there are weird like ethnic tensions because like Ethiopian Jews that want to come into Israel, they come under like harsher circumstances. They do. There are accusations that they sterilize the women that come in there, and like again, that's allegedly
put this out there allegedly,
so. But that's but it's interesting to see that that's the case of where it is. But now they're in their own internal conflict, and I mean, remember Barack Obama did try in his time in office.
Oh my God, there's a Guardian article about it, so I guess it's pretty mainstream.
Yeah, like I'm not talking out of my ass when I say these things. Like
2013, Ethiopian women in Israel given contraception without their consent. Wow. This is the Guardian, by the way. So.
Hashtag Israeli Tuskegee experiment. Man, it would have been so easy to be like an a BDS like supporter in like college in like 2013. Like,
oh, it would have been like you would have been drowning in leftist strange.
It's true. I could have died. It would have been the way I met my end.
You would have caught something though, probably.
Well, like I said, I would have met my end.
Well, even Haaretz has an article about it.
Isn't Haaretz like the most anti like Israeli paper in the Middle East?
Well, the Times of Israel isn't. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. They have an article that says the big lie. But Haaretz is like saying, yeah, they admit to it. And in JSTOR, they have an academic paper by someone from Beirut University.
Yeah, it was like back in 2015 or 2014 where like Jeremy Bird and a few others that were like given Obama's blessing to like leave the White House essentially and like try and get rid of Netanyahu in Israel. Like it was a weird, like the Obama administration is like the Andrew Young affair cranked up to 11. Because Barack Obama has no love for had no love for Netanyahu. No love. And like you saw that
not that we support
not that the show is a supporter of
Likud.
Likud. We're not part of any network.
We're not Likudniks.
No, we're not getting any money. If they were, I'd be driving a better car. And I'd be posting, and I wouldn't be
America right now.
And I wouldn't have a 3-hour show on Odyssey about a certain relationship. But Barry had no love, and Barry had no love for Benjamin Netanyahu, and so it was always a weird relationship with him because like he more or less embraced like the sort of like BDS stuff and a lot like not like like a sort of like a tacit silent concession. Yeah, but he's just like I have to like this is the game I have to play, which is I know whose lobby is more powerful than the DNC and all that jazz. Like that's just the nature of the game.
Now, did secular those people in America, they overwhelmingly voted for Obama, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, really, it's just.
But I think their numbers did go down in terms of voting for Obama
in his re-election campaign. Yeah,
was it 2012?
2012. But like also, it was just like the only like group that votes Republican are like weird secular neoconservatives, which are predominantly of that group.
The vast majority of like millennial and Zoomer, people of the book, they don't care about Israel anymore.
They don't. Like, why would you go there when you can make your money and be more influential here in America?
Yeah.
And the same way, but like the only minority that really is like pro-Trump or like pro-Republican Zionism, anything, is like Orthodox Jews in New York. Like they're just we're all for Trump. In the same way, like the Amish are all for Trump. Like it's just a weird way to like go all in. But yeah, like
I didn't know that about the Orthodox that they voted for Trump.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of Orthodox Jews in New York that were pro-Trump.
Yeah. Can you imagine them having arguments with their secular friends? That would have been awkward, eh? They start arguing with each other about Trump.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
So in 2 weeks we get another Republican debate.
Will Trump be there?
Doesn't look like it. Apparently, the only ones that have qualified so far are DeSantis, Ramaswamy, Haley, Pence, Christie, and Tim Scott.
Oh my God, what's Tim Scott doing there? What's Pence doing there? Nobody's going to vote for.
To remind you that he was the vice president of an administration that he denounces but takes all the credit for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Chirachik type. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Amish do vote.
Haya.
Yeah, they do vote. Which is they're anti everything, but the Amish do vote. Like they came out in droves in Pennsylvania, which is why the Democratic administration inside of in their government is just like, we're gonna have to start looking at the Amish a little more closely now.
I loved it when Haya Radic and Ratchik, I forget how you pronounce your last name.
Liked the Taylor the Wren's intra-female sexual fighting between.
Yeah, they had a mid-off, eh?
They had a mid-off. They had a which middle-aged white-ish looking woman can.
Don't they look so similar?
They
though?
look
like
a
if
lot
Taylor,
alike. They look a lot like. Let's get a photo together.
Yeah. Like if Shia lost a little bit of weight, or if Taylor Wren's gained a little bit of weight, they would look like sisters almost.
Yeah. So let's go get. I love how Taylor the Wren's has not updated any of her single pictures. We're gonna look up Taylor the Wren's for. I'm just gonna create a meme while we're talking and doing this. So you.
Yeah.
Let's find one where she looks kind of old.
I think
back to 9/11.
Back to 9/11. So no, I think that as millennials, it really did instantiate the world that we were living under. It really was, I would say, there was. I remember there's this one art critic, and I believe Fishy Frenzy, or no, it wasn't Fishy Frenzy. It was Keith Slime that had a dialogue. There was this one artist or art critic that said that 9/11 was an aesthetic act. If you talk about the meaning of it, and a lot of people criticized him and said this is terrible, this is evil. But when you think about it, it's kind of correct in that it was a display against a particular version of America. Not to say I endorse it, obviously. I'm not saying I endorse the forces that took the towers down. I'm saying that it was a monumental event similar to the Kennedy assassination, similar to the last helicopter out of Saigon, similar to the raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. There's something about it that is becomes an icon of history and has almost in some ways a darkly spiritual resonance. Now, the image of the towers coming down. It really was biblical. I remember a lot of these, the remnants of the fundamentalist, end times biblical people on the internet at the time. They were making such a big deal about the falling man and the collapsed Tower of Babel. And it's there really is something about that I'm not, and again, I'm not endorsing it, obviously. But
I don't think you are, no.
No, of course. I'm saying that it was a fissure in time that was revealed in an aesthetic, a terribly, chthonic, primordial act of violence that reaches, below and above and has so many different implications for the world. But let's look at this mid-off right here. They look like sisters. They look like sisters. This is incredible.
They could easily be siblings, yeah.
Yeah, or cousins at least.
They're I'm sure, and I bet you in some weird way they're related. I guarantee it. I'm sure they have some relation. Lorenz has got family in all sorts of deep pocket places.
Yeah.
Chaya Ratchik has got his.
These are the faces that have launched 1,000 culture warships.
Is a New York Jewish real estate agent. That's how she got doxxed as a real estate agent. Do not do the fellas, Eric. You're better than this. You have the burb PFP. I had so much faith in you.
Q Matt,
okay, here's the thing. All right, here's your thing, Eric. One of these people keeps their room temperature at 90 degrees Fahrenheit at all times.
Like a lizard.
One of these people is a lizard person. And then the other just wants to sell you a really good apartment in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Well, more
that may or may not be rent controlled.
That may or may not be rent controlled. That may or may not be owned by her grandmother. Why, that's not Taylor Lorenz. That's Captain Howdy.
Oh man. Oh my god. Both. Can you imagine them too though in real life? Like if they had like some kind of a debate. Like apparently that the Dime Square debate happened between Anna Kachayan.
Oh yeah, Anna Kachayan, Luis Perry, Grimes, and
some other no-name
some other
rad femme.
Can you believe that this is what like the discourse?
No, sorry, sex positive feminism. Yeah,
this is what the discourse has come to.
Yeah, they say apparently Ayala, of course, she was going to
that deal when no slumlord GF. So true.
Yeah.
The girl on the left kind of looked like Pearl. Ooh. That's kind of an insult to Chaya there, because Pearl is not an attractive one. Neither of those.
I don't know. She could be attractive. I mean, I don't know about Pearl. Like, Pearl has problems. I think Pearl has problems with pretty women. Pearl.
It's an ordeal of female civility, but instead of civility, it's an ordeal of female beauty.
Listen, my
hashtag Cudahy moment.
I could say this because my GF does not like Pearl. So Pearl just needs a good man in her life, okay? Like that's
no man wants to climb that blocky mountain.
I mean, she's not that bad looking. But just like she needs work,
let her go to the bauxite mines in Africa where she can find the man of her dreams. I'll let her.
You mean to tell me if this was like Gilead, if there was Handmaid's Tale, she'd be in the bauxite mines?
No, I'm saying that she would be finding her African boyfriend in the bauxite.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, yeah. So we need to do Empire of Dust Part 2, but it's like Pearl. And she'll have like a Chinese handler.
She needs an oyster to cover her. Like get back in there, Venus.
Pearl's like the oyster of Venus.
Get back in there. Stefan walked back. What a good name.
No, but she just needs a fashion sense.
She needs the oyster to cover her back up. Let the pearl be swallowed back. She needs some work done. There needs to be a little more pressure, a little less coal, more pressure. Maybe a gem. Maybe a pearl.
Oh God. By work, I mean makeup. I don't endorse plastic surgery, unless it's like disfigurement or whatever.
That's a pretty anyways. Like
Oh
no, he took my joke. Well, you're a part of chat, and I interact with chat. Chat is the third character.
Oh, come on, be nice to Dino World. Come on, be nice to Dino.
It's a good joke.
Nice.
It's now on the air.
That's true.
Credit to Stefan walked back.
See, a little more pressure to get to turn coal or
the pearl of great price. Well, it is not Pearl Davis. The pearl of great price is the kingdom of heaven, not some 6-foot Midwestern girl that's built for domestic violence.
Oh my God. Pearl's a fan of the Chicago Blackhawks, and they got Connor Bedard now. Apparently, they're going to do good this season, so we'll see what happens.
We've transitioned to Geo's safe space, which is hockey.
Yeah, a little less cool. Now Prude is making me feel uncomfortable. No, I'm kidding.
How the tables have turned, bitch.
Okay, you know why Pearl is the female? Okay, King Sinovish, you know why Pearl is the female Andrew Tate? People say it's intersexual competition, but it's more so that Pearl is enacting this like weird psychodrama. Like, here's the thing. Friend of the show, RFH, friend of the show, has this take that Pearl is the ultimate rad femme, that she is actually getting women to turn against men by calling them ugly somehow. That Pearl is actually a secret rad femme that is adopting the most gratuitous grug brain talking points of the red-pilled manosphere and weaponizing them against women so that women swear off against men. That
broken
Pearl is like the
twice a day thing.
Yeah. No, but think of it.
There's a nugget in there. There's a nugget of truth in there.
Yeah.
But no, but that's too much fun to do this when we have when we have our cameras on the air. It just becomes a joke.
But think of it. Pearl is the most effective rad femme by
she's
adopting.
A sleeper agent.
She's a sleeper agent. Yeah, and all these like guys, all these simps that say that, oh, she thinks that women can't have a right to vote. That's based. She has a T-shirt. That's based. It's like all these simps, they're ignoring all of her flaws.
Like as many simps do.
Like as many simps do. Like her choice in men and all that. They're ignoring all of their principles. But really, at the end of the day, Pearl might be the most effective rad femme since Andrea Dworkin. So, that's saying something.
Maybe.
Is Andrew Tate a secret male femme? I don't know. That's a bridge too far.
No, Andrew Tate is just it's like if you gave Jordan Peterson TRT, that's Andrew Tate.
And if he was like 10, 15 years younger,
like if you gave instead of like benzos, if you gave like not Ben Shapiro, if you gave Jordan Peterson TRT, like honestly, he'd probably be more like Andrew Tate.
What's funny is I was actually rereading Redact All Normies. I didn't know, I forgot that Ben Shapiro worked for Breitbart, but then he's like, they become a haven of anti-Semitism during the Trump years, and that's why I had to leave them. And it's like, okay, fuck off.
Whatever, bro.
No, but it's funny how, one thing I will give, even though it's evil and I hate them, the Daily Wire people, except for Matt Walsh is different.
I can give Knowles and Walsh a slight slide, although Knowles follows BAP, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, but I mean, what I mean is that Ben Shapiro, did a more effective Dave Mustaine move, where he got he got shown the door at the Daily at Breitbart, but then he created a company that's even more than Breitbart now, even more popular. Because who cares about Breitbart anymore?
They make movies.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, but anyways,
does anybody even care about Breitbart anymore? No, although I do miss Andrew Breitbart.
Yeah, we miss Andrew Breitbart, but that's different.
Did Ben grow a beard?
He did a little bit.
He has a little bit of that. It's so overly manicured. It's so overly manicured. It looks fake. It looks sprayed on.
It's kind of like very unfortunate.
It has a very sad Latinx style.
Yeah. It
reminded me. He went to like a Dominican barber and just like give me the fade on the beard, make it look like I could like walk into any like club and just give it a smack. Like he looks like that.
He could have like the cornrows and like the AirPods.
He's got the AirPods, the cornrows going in, like Ben Shapiro dropping Benjamins. Like honestly, if like all else fails for Ben, like he can escape with his money.
He could be a rap god.
He could be a rap god.
Yeah. He could. No, but it's funny because
boy lined up with a fresh fade, hypothetically speaking.
The fresh fade. No, very sad. Very like the last match that Randy Savage did in TNA, we had like the fake, like over manicured beard. Like that was incredibly sad. That's what Ben Shapiro. It reminds me of the grafted on, but anyways, beside the point, 9/11. I don't know.
I feel like Norm Macdonald, just like 9/11.
9/11
breaks into
really
laughter.
Sad.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Shapiro gets into the music industry.
Wait, who is this guy? Muhammad Atta? That doesn't look very. Wait, hold the fort. Hold the fort. Says here he orchestrated 9/11. I can't believe. What was that Norm Macdonald bit about, our favorite Austrian painter? He's like, hold the fort, Yeah.
He did what?
He did what?
Sounds kind of bit like a bad guy. Although I will always, he died 2 years ago today.
Yeah.
Memory eternal to Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald died after September, after 9/11.
Norm Macdonald. When did he die? Let me make sure. It was today, September 14th, 2 years ago in 2021, the City of Hope Medical Center. A good man. Had a lot of problems, but Yeah, it's been 2 years since Norm Macdonald died, and I recently started, like, I guess it was like my algorithm or something, because like I do watch a lot of his clips because I think he's just got some really great delivery. He's very quick to the joke, even when it's like socially awkward. He's very good with it. But like, what it was so strange because like I got like the algorithm will suck you into a whole other world. I was getting like recommendations for like the late night television wars and like Jay Leno versus Conan O'Brien and shit like that. And it's like none of this matters, but it's this weird history entertainment, like it's the history of the entertainment business, but it's just
definitely
no one cares now because of the writer's strike, and thank God for it. I know our friend Wade Stotts reviewed the podcast that Jimmy Fallon had, and I will say this: Red Letter Media had the best take on Jimmy Fallon, and this is it. Jimmy Fallon. The only thing Jimmy Fallon should host is a Parasite.
Oh,
that was it. That was it. And finally, those Midwestern boomers had a good take.
Yeah, what does Jimmy Fallon even do at this point?
Nothing. I don't like it's. I know that there's like a pipeline from like Saturday Night Live characters that like try and get big and will go into late night and stuff like that. But
he wasn't even that particularly funny though.
No, he wasn't, and his like SNL stuff was not great either. And it's just he's been around since like what 20? When did he take over? Jimmy Fallon.
Who did he take over for? What's his name?
I'm just
Late night.
Yeah, he took over in 2014. Fallon succeeded Jay Leno, and Conan O'Brien got like fucked over. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like it was.
Yeah, funny. What happened to Conan O'Brien? How come he's not?
He's got his own stuff. Although, like, he's not redeemable either. Like when Trump said that Haiti's a shithole and properly was right. Conan O'Brien's like, look how great the country is, or whatever, and like the one little area that's like a tourist section. And it's just like, okay, buddy, like, what point are you, boning no crying? So true. Yeah, John Leibowitz are worse. I mean, that's definitely true. Like, Jon Stewart, John Leibowitz,
I hate Kimmel, man.
An entire generation of voters. And like, didn't Kimmel used to do like the Man Show or whatever? With,
like,
Dennis Miller?
Yeah, he did the Man Show with Adam Carolla.
And now he's just like one giant flaming again. Like these are the people. I mean, Conan sold out. That's definitely true.
Yeah,
but like. At least Norm Macdonald, for all that he was, and a lot of problems that he had, the man was funny. The man was insightful. You can go read his tweets. He's an interesting guy, or he was. And he died 2 years ago today, and he's still probably the funniest man that lived to see all this shit.
What were the problems that he had?
Well, I mean, he had a massive gambling problem.
Oh yeah,
he lost quite a bit of money. He had a bit of an alcohol problem.
That's why he still had to work to the day he died, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, his wife divorced him back in '96. It's not a great bit there. But he was one of the funniest people,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
but Kimmel, I hate Kimmel. I think he's like.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Murder is legal in the state of California. Like, I mean, he got to cover the O.J. Simpson trial, and I mean, a lot of people remember him for Weekend Update, but he was funnier after Weekend Update. Going broke from gambling shows commitment. That's one way to look at it.
He was a degenerate gambler, as us Italians said.
He was a degenerate gambler, but boy, did he have good. And I mean, he hit his cancer for like a decade. Like, commitment to the bit. Commitment to the bit. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, it is sad. Like, that generation is gone. Like, someone said this. There was this list of like top actors, and I didn't recognize any one of them.
Oh yeah, that 100 thing.
Yeah. And I said who?
Who? 100 actors?
I think I recognize Bella Ramsey, but that's pretty much it. But like someone said in the comments, they're like, it's like the actor is almost being erased because now they become totally their role instead of like.
Oh yeah, time reveals the next 100 list.
Yeah, like instead of being like who they are as an actor, as an artist, now they become just the role that they have. So it's like Saoirse Ronan is just what was her name? The ginger on was that her name? The ginger on Game of Thrones?
I don't know.
The daughter.
I didn't
What's
watch
her name?
I didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, sorry.
So I don't know. I never got into it.
But you know what I mean? Like, it becomes like the role, the cultural medium itself becomes the most important thing rather than who's playing it, right? Like, rather than the actor.
Well, yeah, like the character's more important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I mean, every actor now is type. I think this is a lot more due to Marvel than anything
Sophie
else.
Turner, thank you, Sophie Turner. Yeah.
Yeah, but like Marvel, I think it caused that more than anything else, right? Because like, what is Rodney Downey Jr. forever remembered as? He's Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, it does not matter what he does for the rest of his career. He is Iron Man through and through. He can. I mean, it's the same thing with a lot.
He had a lot of other roles though that were pretty good. I mean,
but once you get attached to a large franchise, your career is more or less over, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but see, that's the tragedy of Robert Downey Jr. because he had like serious roles that he played good in.
Yeah, he's a serious actor. He's good at what he does, but like what 10 plus years of doing Iron Man and making millions of dollars, I don't have to do anything. I mean, come on, Prude, dispel the Gosling questions. Like,
is Ryan Gosling Drive? Is Ryan Gosling
No, he's not. He's probably one of the few movie stars left because he has versatility. That's the good thing about him. But he is literally me. But, memes aside, he does have the versatility of an actor where he's never played a role that was tied to a franchise.
Well, except for Ken, but that's yet to be seen.
Well, I mean, that's different. If they make a Barbie sequel, I would love. I don't want to watch it, right?
It would ruin it.
Like, just be a contrarian, TBH. The GQ, the Gosling question. That's true.
Well, like,
they still exist. They do, but like not to the degree they exist in the same way like reputable news television host still exists.
Yeah,
like Walter Cronkite, like Rachel Maddow does not hold a candle to Walter Cronkite.
Nope.
Like those are two separate categories of news host casters.
Yeah,
they exist, but they're rare. In the same way, like the only news host caster that I remotely care about on television is not even on television anymore. It's Tucker Carlson. Like the era of the Charlie Roses of the world is gone.
Yeah. Even the ones that exist, like Dan Rather's totally sold himself. So.
I mean, Dan Rather had TDS,
Yeah.
Like it's over. Like Trump ended a lot of broke the mask of the facade of the honest news host.
Honest Boomer Truth Regime news host.
Yeah,
Dan Rather's is the face of the Boomer Truth Regime. I mean, he soiled his adult diapers to, like all those tweets are out. I mean, who knows if he actually tweets? They're probably like some intern, right? But no, but like you were saying, like
I mean, like David Weir from ABC News isn't remotely like the worst,
right?
But like even then, it's not.
But then you have like fucking guys like Chuck Todd.
Well, yeah,
he couldn't even hold a candle to his father. By the way, that's I don't know why I hate that guy so much, Chuck Todd. Like he's like his like whininess and his nagging and his like puffy face.
Even like Brian Williams, Tom Brokaw, Chuck Todd, Lester Holt, like Matt Lauer, of course, got me too. But like, none of this. What about it? Like,
he almost got trampled at Woodstock '99. By the way.
Oh, really? He's a short guy, isn't he, Matt Lauer?
Yeah, he had the MTV crew, like they pulled out because of like what the rioting and everything. So, Barbie 2, The Northman. That would be
Barbie 2, all plastic.
Fellas, Diane Sawyer. Depends how old.
Yeah, when let's go with like Diane Sawyer young.
Let's see. Diane
That's my opinion.
That's a wood.
Diane Sawyer back when she was like with Nixon, like that. Yeah, if I gotta go back 50 years for a wood, I guess that's fine. 1968 Diane Sawyer. There you go.
Do you remember the 2000s where Katie Couric was America's Girl? Whatever happened to her?
Katie Couric still does. I'm looking it up now. Yeah, thanks guys. We're talking about news. We're talking about like news hosts
from the 2000s, from the Richard Nixon administration. Oh my God, she's aged terribly.
She's 66. Oh, no. Calm down.
She's all. I mean,
she was Yahoo's global news anchor. Is she doing? Oh, she's got Katie Couric Media.
Yeah, no, whatever happened?
5'3", Yahoo News' global news. What is she doing now? That's my real question. Reading.
She kind of disappeared.
Yeah, she kind of has. She did host a few episodes of Jeopardy, and she's worked a few times with National Geo. She kind of just like disappeared.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Who?
What was that CNN thing that came up the other day where it was like the CNN news host Sleeps was like some like loser back a few years back, and it's like, isn't this the same chick from like Channel 1 in the 90s?
Oh yeah,
but like all that's gone. So like the news, the trustworthy news thing, I think does have a lot to do with who mentioned it? Yeah, Nudge Unit, about it being a monopoly. Like that's probably true. But even then, even when like CNN came out and all the news stations began to like fractionalize, like there was still the desire to have at least one guy that was like the not honest news host and anchor.
Yeah.
And although MSNBC and Fox were always kind of the exception to this, just because they were more innately political going out. But like, Ted Turner tried. I will give Ted credit, and I will always give Ted Turner credit for like financing gods and generals. But it's gone in that respect. Like it's the quality got lower, and in that turn, trust went away. And when like there's more options, I don't have to like it. Like there's Littman eternally, vindicated. Like, I'm just going to go to the guy that fits my preconceived notions, that fulfills my desires for my own bubble and pseudo reality. And it never went away. It never did. As much as we like to say that, like, oh, we listen to objectified news sources, like we don't, and we're going to fall for it. Like, no,
I mean, Tucker Carlson's not an objective news source. Let's face it.
But Tucker Carlson says shit that makes me feel good, and so I'm going to listen to him, right? Like, Tucker Carlson is my confirmation bias simulator.
No, but that's what I mean. That's why news is almost becoming like a ghost of itself. Like there is no such thing as news per se. It's basically just like confirmation bias in a world of hyperreality is the way that just things happen. It's the way that people experience themselves even. It's just like this is why like when people say that like like the post-truth thing, it's like it doesn't really, it rings hollow, because like we've lived in quote unquote post-truth for so long that this fantasy of an objective, this like objective news source, like it's like it's gone. There's no such thing, right? And it's not that it's gone, it's that we even have to question
like we even have everything.
No, but what I mean is we have to question even that, was there such a thing as a somehow non-regulated, somehow decentralized apparatus of information called the news media that delivered to people quote unquote objective truth or happening or reporting on what things actually exist in the real world, but not just actually exist, but exist in the way that they're reporting it. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's like sort of like question everything.
Yeah, post-truth. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was covering up, Soviet mass murder. Like, you'll never, like, Walter Duranty.
Yeah, exactly.
It is forever in hell for what he had done, Like,
yeah. No, but that's what I mean. Like, it's just, like, there's no, and the thing is, though, it's not to say, like, this sort of hippie libertarian, like, oh, question everything, man. There's nobody's telling you the truth, right?
Yeah.
It's more so a recognition that people live within their narratives and live within approximations of what is true to them, but true more or less in terms of like the immediacy of physical facts.
I mean, it's always been this way. Like it was worshipped in Good Night and Good Luck in 2005.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh yeah, someone in chat. I just saw chat. Thank you, George. Yeah, Edward R. Murrow, right? Like, that's a perfect example. And like, this is the world that we live in. Obama's like, I know. Obama's allegedly gay or is gay, and aliens are turning up in Mexico. Like, what? What's going on? What matters? You know,
Yeah.
it's the question of like, where are your priorities and your first principles going to direct you to? Are you going to fall into the temptation of some llamaus that look like paper mache creatures in Mexico with like the Walmart-esque humidifier dial thing right next to them? Or like, are you going to focus on like, making sure that you have food on the table and some money to pocket up in case an emergency happens? Like, I don't do you care about the Mexico alien thing?
I kind of do a little bit.
It's hard for me to be invested in the Isle of Mouse. It's hard.
Oh my god. It's hard for
me to care about the
I grew
Isle
up
of
on
Mouse.
Coast to Coast AM.
I know for you. I know for you. It's the
Yeah.
most important. Like for you, it's the important thing with like Coast to Coast, Art Bell, the UFOlogy. But it's hard for me to care. Like, and I should care, but I shouldn't. Like,
Yeah.
why am I don't know. I don't have. Give me a reason to care, Geo. I'm begging you.
No,
Give me a
not
reason
about
to
this
care.
Mexico. This like particular Mexico thing.
No, I don't like Mexican aliens, honey bud. Whether
Oh.
real llamaus or the ones that keep pouring into my border.
Like I think that it's very interesting. Like Morgoth had that article about like aliens don't do it for us. It's sort of like cowboy movies in the age of like true crime drama, or it's sort of like Baywatch in the age of mass prawn. It's like it's quaint. If it's real, I mean, does it really matter in the sense of like
I'm
in
just gonna
terms of
pull up
questioning your
Morgoth's
assumptions
article
about things
real quick because
Yeah, sure.
Morgoth's point I thought was excellent, and I sent it to you earlier, Gio. I'm trying to go scroll through my Telegram and find out what I'm doing. All right, yeah. So his point about the aliens was that like it doesn't do anything for us anymore. Like shows us pictures of 1,000-year-old aliens and nobody cared. Nobody ran through the streets in panic. Nobody rioted. Nobody prepared for war because nobody cared. And like it's hard for me to care, right? And he makes a good point here. He's like, decades before that, Orson Welles scared and terrified radio listeners by depicting them invading the Earth. It's an old hackneyed plot that we've seen too many times, and now nobody cares about aliens. Another reason nobody cares about aliens is that nobody believes they are aliens. We've seen the story too about the government faking aliens. We've seen the government hiding aliens. We were bored with black good plots and human alien hybrids before the millennium. Thank you, X-Files. And while we've watched every conceivable story arc and documentary featuring pyramids and downed UFOs locked up in the Arctic ice fields, it's the Arctic stuff that interests me more than anything else.
Yeah.
But Baywatch can't compete with Pornhub. The threshold for any would-be spacefaring civilization to cross is not that they may destroy themselves before they reach escape velocity, but that they don't overstimulate themselves into terminal boredom. The universe became boring as the rusting cans of Pepsi on the side of Mount Everest and Whitney Houston CDs on the floor of the Marianas Trench. Wow. The only thing that doesn't bore us to death is ourselves. Nothing terrifies us more than and haunts us like our dreams, like other humans, evil humans, scheming humans, sick humans, more unknowable, more inscrutable, racist humans, right? And the darker than anything that does and possibly can exist in the cosmos. We've stared deep into the eyes that resemble black puddles on that expressionless face, and we have gazed far too long to know the truth. And as horrible as it might be, we have seen the face of aliens, and he is us. Yeah. And I think Morgoth's absolutely correct there. You know
what's crazy is that's the conclusion. Well, it's implied, but that was the Nobody TM alien edit video. It was called Considering the Alien Question. That was the whole point in my thesis, that we become aliens to ourselves. And you could say that even Jung had this point about aliens as mass archetypal phenomenon, that we are reaching towards a sort of engagement with the collective unconscious that is mediated through the language of like technology and science and so forth and science fiction, that really we are the aliens now. And, there's some people that think that the aliens are us from the future, but, that have adapted to like life and whatever ecological catastrophe that's going to happen. But it's more of like we've become the abjected being that is in between a machine, in between spirit, in between being, in between non-being. We are like at the crossroads now with things. And that's what real objection is in like the fancy, literature department term of it, is that, we are outside of a social order, but then we realize that there is no such thing as a social order anymore, that it's just the self trying to like, trying to yearn for something else. Like, this is why I conclude that, like, why in the age of like mass global liberalism and secularization, why kitsch becomes the like only real, like why like kitsch goes hand in hand with that, why it is the aesthetics of global liberalism, because it's a world that is separated from our own but has no attachment or connection to these things like history and meaning and so forth. It becomes this sort of like non-place that we place, we go into it, we recognize that we're going into it, that we enjoy it. We don't enjoy enjoyment, we enjoy the fact that we do enjoy this thing.
Well, it's like the meme about the old guy getting out in Shawshank Redemption. It's like, tried wanting to find some community servers, and they told me to get on Discord. I don't know if it's a forum or an image board, but somehow it's the worst of both.
Oh, you posted that editing.
Yeah, and it's like, and it was like,
it was so brutal.
People don't play games anymore. They enjoy watching people play games.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing about,
or the games are just films. Like,
I mean, God of War, right? Like, games are just films. Or
I was watching someone play the Modern Warfare 2, like the new one.
Yeah,
where they blame Russia for everything.
As always.
Yeah, exactly.
At least in the originals, they had the courtesy to like blame, like some Hispanic guy, right?
Yeah. So they're like, one of the top comments in this like sniper mission is like, we don't like play video games anymore. We play movies that have a video game element to it.
Yeah.
I go, yep, that's the culture industry. Everything becomes one, because people, games are not on their merit. Games are on their graphics. Games are on their like ratings. Games are on like these other metrics besides playability and enjoyment of the audience. The enjoyment has to come from other things besides the actual experience of playing it, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead, Prue. But you're a gamer, but you know what I mean. Right?
The thing is that like, I think the stimulation point is true. Like, I think that Morgoth, gets into something that cuts much deeper, because like, it's not just that people that terrify us; it's that we have devolved and desacralized all forms of horror. Like,
we terrify ourselves, really.
We've made demons mundane, for God's sake. We've made the horrors of hell and Hades, Gehenna, or any even non-Abrahamic concept of like the afterlife. We've even made.
Well, someone on the show recommended Hell of a Boss. I actually watched Hell of a Boss. That's all about like, MB kids in hell.
But like, we've made
assassinating people.
We've made that stuff mundane. Like every talk about like demons or horror movies or The Exorcist, right? Like, there's a million. You can go on like Tubi or whatever. There's a million cheap ass, less than $200,000 budget films about exorcism.
Some of them are good though.
That's besides the point. That's besides the point. That's true. That's true. We've made it mundane. The only body horror that exists, to pull off Galaxy Brain Vanguard's point, the only body horror that exists nowadays isn't the stuff that comes from David Cronenberg. It isn't John Carpenter's The Thing. No. It's the thing that sits on that newsstand telling you about how all Russian propagandists are going to get killed. It's horrifying idea that a sitting state senator of California wants it to be okay for you to have HIV and not tell people about it. It's okay that the body horror that now is supremely accepted is don't be a dick when getting dick, according to the Australians, that it's impolite to ask if you have STDs before you engage in a sexual act.
That used to be like, even in gay culture in the 90s, that was like, and listen, I've watched enough documentaries like, the series Kink, right? Like that was the hallmark of like in LGBT culture, was like safe sex was like the main thing.
Well, yeah, because they didn't want to get AIDS. And now
like it was sacred
but because it's no longer a death sentence, we must promulgate degeneracy. And so what does horrify us? Like, for young people, it's loneliness. The one word that I've noticed that gets a lot, and I'm talking about like an everyday conversation with regular people, not just like people at church or whatever, but like, make conversation like at a diner or something. What terrifies them more than anything is that loneliness. We are terrified about our thoughts. We're terrified about what haunts us. And so we create these versions of it. Like, we can talk about Gamergate all you want, but like, Depression Quest is an example of like people too afraid to deal with their own problems about loneliness and the cycle that comes therein. And so we gamify it. We create
that was
images.
BoJack Horseman, by the way. He was too proud to deal with his own.
Too proud to deal with his own loneliness.
So what does he do? He fucking destroys his
everything
best friend's life, everyone around him, just so they could like still be with
some didn't want AIDS, right? Yeah, I get that, right? But like most, there are chasers. But like Morgoth's point, I think, is perfect here because it illustrates that like it. And this is a point even for religious people. Like, okay, the second coming happens tomorrow. Christ comes back like a thief in the night, coming from the east with lightning and the sound of trumpets of the angels. Most people, even probably believers, would be like, fake, gay, get better glow-ups.
They would think that what Giorgiani believes about the resurrection. Yeah, that it was like...
So, like... Morgoth's point, I think, is very true. People are lonely. They're more terrified of their own loneliness. We've made demons mundane. We've made them to be nothing more than digital horrors that we can consume, like Faith, the Unholy Trinity, or liminal spaces, or analog horror. All these things that want people to be enticed by something that could scare them honestly. And what scares them more than anything is loneliness. Why are Zoomers afraid of liminal spaces? Because they're afraid of not being stimulated, afraid of not looking at their phones, and afraid of being alone.
They're afraid of suburbs at night.
They're afraid of suburbs at night.
But also it's evil because of capitalism too. So that's another.
Yeah, gotta remind
Listen, I believe that capitalism is evil, but not in the way that they.
So yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, Morgoth's point is right. Like mankind's in the West, at least in the West, I think Muslims have their still Muslims and some devout Christians still definitely have fears that are outside of like the mundane. But like when you've made the most scary things that 1,000 years ago would have terrified any person, even the most scholarly man around, and you've made that mundane, what is left to be terrified of? Your own thoughts.
Yeah. Your inner self as well. Like that's yeah. That's why I think if you're like a director, you could make a horror film where it's like like a libtard discovers that they're secretly racist or something. Like they have an external body that is racist. That could be like
Isn't that a Black Mirror episode, right?
Is it a Black Mirror episode?
I don't know. But
it could be.
I mean, like, they're encampments now, bro. Yeah, all of those spaces are encampments. That's where all the homeless go.
Oh boy.
But like, I don't know, there's a point there that's built into it where it's just everything about the sense of impending loneliness, the sense of being alone with our thoughts. Like even now, right? Like to me, I still think that there's something very valuable about like Everywhere at the End of Time, that album. But like now everyone's just like, oh, dementia joke, insert here. And it's just like our phone screens and blue light actually will accelerate our schizophrenia and our dementia. So everything that we're memeing about right now will probably hit you with early onset Alzheimer's, like it's, what's more horrifying than the reality we live in?
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know if it's a Black Mirror episode, but I would love the idea of like a white liberal like crying out in fear is like the machine or whatever it takes a test. And it's like, I was a good ally. I did everything right. I went to all the rallies. I told them not to burn down cop cars as white people. I was an ally.
There was this,
and they just fall down and break themselves, and then they'll off themselves, and that will be the climax of the show. Because what is the progressive message to white people? The only way you can be an ally is suicide.
Yeah, or transition.
No, that's it. It's self-destruction.
Yeah. No, it's funny. There was a story.
Sterilization is suicide.
Yeah, there was this story in M+1. It was called The Feminist. Where it was about that, where like a male feminist, he like did everything right, but then he got screwed over anyways, and then he got denounced by his feminist circle, his activist circle, and he like had this medical condition or whatever. It was really like, look this. I think it's still available. It's from the Leftoid magazine M+1. It's called The Feminist. Really highly recommend reading it. It's like one of the most self-aware pieces written in like a lefty publication. And it's exactly how you described it, by the way. It's exactly like that. Like, oh my God, I did everything right. No, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm lonely. It's like, it's not fair. Yeah.
I have no wings. No.
But no, it is like,
I'm 35. Stefan Molyneux was right. No.
I'm on you.
But Eric's got a good point here, and in chat, he says seeing how people were taken in by VTubers and AI chatbots in the pandemic was very eye-opening, and the ease it takes you in was very creepy in retrospect. And he says it's also why podcasts are so big with the terminally online. Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, there you go. I hope
gone up.
I hope we've I hope this podcast has given hope to sensitive young men. At least one of them.
Bill.
Yeah,
that is the Mr. Bill voice from SNL. Yes.
Listen, if you're a lonely, sensitive young man and you've developed a parasocial relationship with me and Prude, I just want to say keep persevering and keep going and really living the best you can live is probably the best revenge against the libs. That's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So there you go. And I think we are scared of ourselves, or rather we are scared of more of a picture of ourselves attached to nature. Because notice how most modern horror is about the coming, and even Ari Aster does this, where it's like you're confronting a version of yourself that's related to the past, related to the primordial world of nature or of the divine, and that is really the fear of people. Yeah, not like an external thing, but really a version of yourself that is more attached to nature. But yeah, I think that, loneliness is another like, I mean, I'm scared of it, God, come on. I was watching on Tubi. Ironically enough, I love Tubi, by the way.
Figured as much.
Yeah, I was watching because I browsed the Leaving Soon section for any Gemmies. I was watching Untamed Heart with Christian Slater and Marissa Tomei, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't watch this film. I was texting my GF, I'm like, I shouldn't watch this film. It's so depressing. Not to spoil it. It's a good film, but like there's this moment where he talks about like I was lonely my whole life. I never thought I would find anybody. I never had a human connection with anybody, and it's like, man. Like this was the 1980s, but yeah, of course he overcomes it. When you find somebody, then. But the point being is that, what, and I said this. I said this to my GF. I'm like, notice how they don't really make a lot of good romance films anymore. Like even the 2010s, like the 2000s, they had like
Lindy
romantic comedies.
JPEG. Yeah, you don't see that anymore.
Yeah, the Lindy Man. Yeah, you don't really see that anymore.
You really don't see that anymore.
Like romantic comedies, there were a thing before in the 2000s.
But who laughs at that? Like,
nobody.
Go back in time and watch like The Wedding Planner or something. Like, does any of that hold up to today's? No. And this was a point.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Dates or what was it?
Yeah, but I mean, this was a point that Zero HP Lovecraft made the other day, where he was talking about we live in a world of instantaneous communication, but most films are writing like we don't have cell phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or when
it's like zombie films writing without the.
Or when we do, right? Or when we do, what happens when a cell phone gets introduced? Oh, there's no reception. Oh, it died. Yeah. We have to find a way to remove the factor of instantaneous communication. This is the same thing about like sitcoms in like the 90s with like Friends or Frasier or whatever. It's like, you all have phones, dumbass. Like you could easily like look this up, call your friend, and alleviate the misunderstanding.
How many Seinfeld episodes would have been destroyed if they had cell phones?
Well, the same thing with Friends or Frasier or any major sitcom of the 90s. Yeah. All King of Queens, right? Shrek is the best rom-com. Well, there you go, right? That's in a fantasy world where there is no instantaneous communication. But like,
no, but is there any serious romance films being made right now? I don't think there is.
What is the last good romance film out there?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to ask people that would be in the know. But
chat, would you know what's a recent film about romance that you actually?
Well, there's foreign romance films that are good.
No, okay. Let me re-clarify. What is a recent American romance film that you have seen that was worth your time and enjoyable? Yeah. Because the last thing that comes to my head that it's technically romantic is La La Land.
Yeah.
And that's a Gosling movie. Instead, romance zoomers have Blade Runner 2049. They have her. They have her. 2013.
Well, that's millennials. Phoenix. But,
Yeah, right.
Jim Jarmusch is still making films?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, The Notebook. Yeah, The Notebook was what, 2004?
2008? I don't know. I'm going to look it up.
Who was in The Notebook?
You know who? Yeah, it was 2004.
Was it Ryan
with
Gosling?
Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams? Back when Rachel McAdams looked good young.
I forget that Ryan Gosling was in The Notebook. I've never watched. Should I watch The Notebook, chat? I've never watched The Notebook. My mom has. I haven't.
I haven't seen The Notebook actually.
Nosferatu, 1979. That's the last great romance film, Nosferatu.
Oh man.
Oh
Nosferatu.
man. I haven't watched a good I watched some really good early 2000s romance films like Center of the World, that again was on Tubi. What else? Well, I reviewed 2 romance films on the last the Content Minded before the Peter Ludlow one. You'll figure out the hook of The Notebook within 5 minutes, Geo. Oh well, that's The Lighthouse was a romance. I don't know if it was.
The Lighthouse.
That wasn't a romance. That was just a joke.
It's not a romance. Oh, okay. I was like, it's not a romance at all. It's a great movie. It's not a romance.
Yeah, but
Future Geo and Fruit Archipelago. I don't want to cover The Notebook.
Apparently, it's really boring in the middle.
Well, isn't the whole gimmick that they're all like super old and they're all about to die and
yeah,
okay. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, it's Tubi.
Sorry, like I like, oh, they've loved each other all this time, and so they're like memories, and someone's reading it to them because they all have dementia. Like, I want that, sure, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, like, why does that not? But that raises the fun question that goes back to Morgoth's essay. Why does that not get to me? Why does that not speak to me? Why?
Yeah.
And I don't even like the literally me memes because I think that does only help promote a rather antisocial behavior. But like, it raises the fun question of like, what am I doing? Like, why people have become so lonely and we're so terrified of loneliness that we identify with the lone wanderer.
Yeah, that's why we love Drive.
That's why we love Drive, as sociopathic as it can be. We love Drive. We love Blade Runner 2049. We love La La Land. Why? Because the guy doesn't get the girl, and the girl doesn't win. And so we have made ourselves partakers, and rather it's become almost a fetish, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what we enjoy the most. But yeah, that's what's going to go on.
Prude's being abducted right now.
Yeah, the FBI have come for me. I give you all my best. I'm sorry.
We may have had a mass
I'm kidding.
fun post incident, but
imagine. No, I if I was gonna do that, Gio, I would ruin the stream and do it live on the air. Come on.
Oh my god. No, but yeah. So my good friend Wired, as you know, our good friend of the show, Wired, an actual friend of the show, not like RFH, an actual friend of the show. What niche would romance films fit? If lonely people in 2023 want to experience romance this vicariously, they have AI GFs to chat with. Rom-coms are an outmoded kind of simulacra. No, it's very true. I think that romance films for lonely people, both men and women, because the femcells are getting up there with Zoomer women, doesn't fit the bill.
Here's to get on Wired's point. Wouldn't the answer just be like, and this is going to be incredibly crude and forgive me, but wouldn't like the romance for today would just be like the GF experience ASMR / jerk off instruction video?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't that be it? That would be it.
Yeah, maternal instinct meeting sexuality. Yes.
Yeah, it's the like, I want someone to hold me, like Guts Koska thing, right? Like, I want to be vulnerable with a woman, but I also want her to like.
It's powerful, man.
Yeah,
it is.
Like, I just feel like that might be maybe, I don't know.
No, I think it could be like you're paying for that kind of intimacy, but then it becomes real. Like, that like
e-dating,
milady core type of aesthetic where it's like, it's not a meme, I actually love you. It's like, that would be it. Like, that would be the Zoomer romance. And if you're a cynical millennial, you could probably make a huge bank on.
Well, here's the cynical take. Zoomers aren't lonely. They don't care about other people beyond their own narcissistic supply at all beyond their narcissistic supply. I know they call it loneliness to cast themselves in a sympathetic light, but that's not it. Now this is the misanthropic take that
I haven't seen
we
Scum
needed.
Sucking Slimer for a long time.
Thank you, sir. That was a fantastic take.
Wow.
Thank you. I salute you. Your misanthropic observation is, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I haven't seen Scum Sucking Slimer for a long time. But no, that was like, I don't want to be that cruel to Zoomers because we have a lot of Zoomers in our audience, but I just think that a lot of Zoomers, like especially like, you know, the Zoomers that we hate and make fun of, like, you know, especially like the
so half our audience.
No, but like the half our audience that's hating on other Zoomers that are like, you know, post Tumblr generation.
So misanthropic, you know, scum sucking Slimers.
But that's what
not to shit on his take. It was great. I just mean like we all like there's this like cycle of like I hate myself, ergo I'm going to hate someone else. Oh, I hate myself, I'm going to hate someone else. I am a Zoomer, by the way. Well, no, it's a great take. It's a
do unto others.
Great take.
Yeah,
do unto others as I like shit on them.
Yeah, do unto others as it's been done to me. Yeah, do unto others what's been done to me. Yeah, no, but I think that see, Wired, he's a Zoomer and he says, yeah, it's probably true. I mean, so I think that there are Zoomers who are generally lonely, but you're right. There is a lot of Zoomers that they have kind of like an antisocial personality, and they're like, well, you know, we call it loneliness, but it's like that weird like I don't like people, but I'm lonely. You
call it lonely, but you purposefully push people away.
Yeah. Oh, it's like BoJack Horseman.
I'm so lonely, but I'm gonna like stab you, you know, emotionally speaking, because like I need that woe is me attitude. And like I get it. That show perfectly identifies with it, but like I think
but I'll be honest, Prude, like even millennials, like I was sort of like that for periods of my life where I was down on myself and I felt lonely, but I pushed people away at the same time. So it's like you do it for a variety of weird reasons that you can't even explain.
Yeah, we're antisocial romantics, right?
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
that would be that. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
antisocial, masochistic romantics.
You know, but that's what I mean. Like I think that I know that experience, but at the same time, like what is the way in which Zoomers can embrace things like romance and affection and true sentiment? Like what could be the thing that sparks that? The whole, like, I know it's like the soft core, like tender queer, like I actually love you. It's not just a meme. It's like that sort of crap. But like, what about like the average Zoomer? Like, what can they do to embrace things that isn't just like an elaborate LARP, or isn't just something that is like, you know, trying to fill the void? Like, I don't know. Like, there's so many things against them. There's so many things against us millennials too. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's just, I think that what's going to happen is that there will be a crisis point where people are going to have to recognize that there are systems around us that have largely abandoned us or largely work against us. And therefore, there's going to have to be a reckoning where people do recognize the value in each other. There has to be, or else people are going to go insane en masse. And then very bad things are going to happen because of that. So to like leave on an optimistic note, I think that maybe it's going to happen either way. Maybe Zoomers might find the formula. Maybe Zoomers might be different than us millennials. Who knows? Right?
Well, whichever generation or whichever movement or whichever personality manages to, and I mean genuinely, not the sort of like grifter Mark. Yeah, like that's a great example, John Carter. Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving It, because like that's just self-pity. It's like a 200-page book of just like, oh, woe is me, like just a 200 pages of just jerking off and crying. And then like there's the other side of that, which is like the Andrew Tates of the world. But at the end of the day, like there's no one that kind of overcomes the suffering bit. And so everyone kind of like re-internalizes it and either lashes out or self-pities. And it's still antisocial. And it's still a maladjustment to like everything that's been thrown towards us. Like we have maladaptive traits to our current systems because
the system breeds maladaptive traits.
Well, yeah, in the online world, it's innately dysgenic. But like the maladaptive traits that we have, we're antisocial, maybe we hate women too much, or maybe we respect women too much to be simps.
Maybe they hate men too much,
and maybe they hate men too much, and maybe we're the last, people on Earth. But like it does.
We're Thomas the Gaudy's fantasy. We're gonna voluntarily step out of reproduction, and that's it.
Or maybe it'll be like his fantasy mixed with Thomas 777's, where we'll voluntarily just screw a Snorlax into extinction. Like that'll be the case. But like whichever movement actually overcomes it, whichever one actually is a way to overcome the fetishization of suffering and maladaptive social traits, they win.
They win the genetic lottery. Really.
They win the genetic lottery. Whoever manages to, not to reference Med Gold here too much, but like whoever manages to actually successfully increase the fuck rate is the winner. Because you are in a bottle gap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just talking about.
I like to call it the love rate, but
you're not just in a genetic bottle gap or bottleneck. Excuse me. You're not just in a genetic bottleneck. You're in a financial one, an economic one, a genetic one, and a civilizational one.
Yeah.
Whoever manages to bring all four of those together and form this mighty fist that says "fuck you" to our current mechanism of society, they win. Those are the people that get to put it here. We are in the great filter, and some of us don't wish to be horny anymore. And unfortunately, you're going to have to be, and you're going to have to find a way to win.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think that Meg Gold's solution is not good. But
I mean, you got to do it in a way that I think promotes actual healthy social norms.
Yeah, like I think
I'm simply pointing out. I'm just pointing out the simple fact we're in a bottleneck.
Yeah. But no, that was great, Prude. I think that this was kind of an unstructured episode, but we didn't get that much to alien. It's funny, every time we try to talk about aliens, we never talk about aliens. Because I would have to, like I think that but
it is hard for me to like if there's even if they're real, right? Like what have we done now other than just point out the fact that like, oh, okay, what's next? That's sad in and of its own right.
There would have to be a living alien that we would interview.
Yeah, you would literally have to have someone that can what's the word I'm looking for? Like you would need to have someone come up on television that you can physically touch. Like we are in a society now, thanks to deep fakes and AI, every person on Earth is a doubting Thomas.
Yes. Yeah. Even though we have more recording technology than ever before, that's instantaneous. We have more doubt than ever.
It's stable diffusion, fake, gay, AI.
It's a guy in a suit.
It's a guy in a suit. Like look at this camera angle of his like neck flap or whatever. It's totally a mask, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that
they would have to like dissect an alien live on like an actual like dissection.
Like literally, it would need to be like an army of Brazilians just like cooking the damn thing. Like dial them out,
Yeah, the Chinese cooking.
And then it unleashes the next goof that kills us all, right? Like
you need like Uncle Ruhr Gourmet like chopping up the alien, like serving in pepper sauce with seed oils.
Neo China is just like whatever alien they cooked up in like a wet market that killed most of the Earth.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, Nick Land will have like a takeaway of it.
A little alien, meat.
Yeah. See, aliens are no match for the AI god that's going to come, and not even aliens can control it.
Just a taste of its flesh.
Just a little taste.
Just a little taste of flesh.
Yeah. No, but it's funny because you'd figure like the aliens would have to perfect an AI overlord as well, but maybe they went a different route.
Well, isn't this like? I mean, there's arguments that like artificial intelligence would be part of the like great filter.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's been explored in fiction before. Like even Mass Effect's talked about it. But I mean, Arthur C. Clarke and Asimov have also written stories where it's just like, hey, like other worlds have died because of artificial intelligence.
What do they call it? What did Asimov call it in Foundations? Something politics.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Did he call it psychopolitics?
No way.
Oh, what did he call it? The term for the actual calculus machine of history that Arthur C. Clarke, that Asimov came up with in Foundations. What did he call it? He called it psychopolitics.
No, he called it psychohistory.
Psychohistory, yeah.
Harry Seldon's psychohistory.
Yeah, psychohistory.
Probabilistic predictions of future events. Yeah, psychohistory.
He had to use Kabbalah. He had in the Nick Land, he took that and ran with it. So
yeah, all that Kabbalistic ways of predicting the future, No,
but that's what I mean. Like you would say that the aliens would have some kind of AI technology.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I mean. Our friend Russell Walter had a really great video on Dune about this because he was just like, AI can be dysgenic, our technology can be dysgenic, and he's like, that's what makes
people
Dune,
think it's
that's what makes Dune the most interesting sci-fi series for a lot of people, because it's not, we banned machines, so what did we do? We had to like force human evolution so we can create human beings that can calculate how to explore the stars.
Yeah.
Thank you, Benny Gesserit. Thank you. Like, it's an interesting concept, not gonna lie.
It is.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, now that we're finding ways to like in the stillbirth like phase, like in the in situ phase, we're trying to like
in the miscarriage
AI.
of modernity.
Yeah, it's like AI will become miscarried. Like, that's something that Nick Land didn't predict, is that he didn't.
Yeah, what if your beautiful AI god is a stillbirth or it's miscarried?
Like libtardy, like literally, like, well, I mean, it's only apt that the libs worship that one medical procedure, because they're even going to do it to the AI.
Yeah,
coming into the future. So, obese Earth Mother versus Solar Sky. Exactly. It always goes back to that. It always goes back to that. What's funny is that we were talking about Muslims. There's that one tweet that Oren had where it's like the one guy was like the one conservative pundit was like base Muslims or whatever, or sorry, that like Christianity was like powerless and that Muslims are going to be turned into like neoliberal.
It was
like,
Rod Dreher that started all that shit.
Yeah. No, but then Oren is like, you realize you should be ashamed of yourself, that like you can't contain it. So it's like you have to.
Yeah,
like,
you failed. Way to go.
So now you're inflicted it on the Muslims. You're going to cause them, So that was a great tweet by Oren. He just came out with these, like, there you go. Like, it's there was also another tweet by Stephen Wolfe about Christian nationalism, like preparing the way for the faithful towards the afterlife. But that's in.
I'm gonna talk about that Sunday afternoon, actually.
Yeah, what do you got going on, Prude? We didn't chill enough, so.
No, we didn't chill at all until just now. But like, I have George Bagby this Monday. I have a new Substack essay coming out tomorrow.
Nice.
And then I'll be on David Aaron's channel on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, talking about sort of the Christian nationalism stuff and what does that mean and how does the faithful engage with politics. I'm not one that usually goes on and talks with apologetics channels, but like,
yeah,
he sent me a DM and he's just like, he's like, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, I think it'll be interesting because in America it's way different than say those living in like Turkey or Jerusalem or Russia. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Hopefully next week I'll come out with an episode of Content Minded, probably the Marty Phillips one or a solo one. But also next
you ever gonna drop that Indian Bronson episode, Gio?
Should I? I said
well.
Maybe next month because I'm really busy with the book, but I might be recording soon. When it comes out maybe next month or even sooner. Another podcast which I might be co-hosting as well. So
another podcast.
Yeah. But it's gonna be, so we'll see what happens.
Oh my.
I'm in talks with this person, which I will not reveal.
Ooh.
But let's just say friend of the show. But anyways, this person has terrible history with having co-hosts leave this person, not to reveal this person's gender, because then people automatically are gonna like, so. But the digital archipelago will persist, though. It's and Content Minded will persist. So no, it's none of those. It's not those two.
I'm genuinely surprised then.
How could that one person do it from a Ukrainian?
BTR is back.
BTR is back. No.
Lamau.
Lauren Rose is back. Whatever happened to Lauren Rose?
That's a great question.
That's a good question. Whatever happened to her? Well, someone in the chat got it correct.
Of course it'd be her.
Yes, of course.
Of course it would be her.
Yeah.
Oh God! So instead of after the orgy, it's after the goon sesh.
Well, she keeps having co-host leave her for Normie World. Okay, yes, it's happening. I'm going to be co-hosting the computer room. There you go. That's big announcement.
Oh, the computer room. Well, I think my title is better.
After the goon sesh. Listen, don't suggest that to her. She probably will use that as at least
DM
an episode after the goon sash. She loved your tweets, by the way, Prude. She loved your tweets about the goon.
I have that tweet muted. I don't want to touch it. I sent it. I got some feedback. I muted it so fucking fast. What did
at least ain't Lauren Southern. Apparently, Annie Slats has a podcast with Lauren Southern now. So
that's terrifying. Why does that have over 20,000 views? Jesus H.
Yeah.
Oh god. That's
Wait, over 20,000 what?
Views. Jesus H. Orgy the after. There you go.
Well, you mean the podcast with Lauren Southern?
No, that stupid tweet.
Oh wow, that tweet. That was a good tweet though. Was hoping for generous. well, Sunny's away. You know,
all right, welcome to the newest podcast hosted by Pearl Davis and Gio Panichetti.
Oh, that would be amazing. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
It was Pearl Davis and me.
Gio do a show with Vocal Distance.
Oh no, my god, that would be
4.5 hours of that I can live without.
Yeah. That was like a 3 hours. It didn't need to be that one. I hate to say, like, I love Dave, I love Benjamin Boyce, but that was like about maybe 2.5 hours too long. Should have been an hour and a half, but
gotta have my guitar, gotta have my sandwich, gotta have
Content Minded with James.
Welcome to Content Minded with James Lindsay. I don't give a fuck, and we're gonna talk about why everything is like gay space Gnostic Marxism, and why everything my co-host says is just authoritarian Third Reichism. You know, that would basically be it.
Yeah, that if he was like a second chair in Content Minded, that basically would just be like BTR. I hate to say it, but you know.
Listen, my co-host here is a Nazi, and I can't do that. James Lindsay, Lev, what's the difference?
Well, I don't know. James Lindsay's an Anglo, so that's. Is he?
He's spiritually.
Okay. Oh boy!
Shall we get to the super chats before this?
Let's get to super chats. Okay. So
thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for supporting the Digital Archipelago. Your ongoing financial support and contribution and sneaking those super chats enables the show to continue to go on for the glorious shit posting from now until the next September 11th, 2024. Your ongoing contributions on Subscribestar, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal, as well as on Entropy.com with its super chats. Ongoing support is enabling everything for the shit post to go round. Now on to the super chats.
All right, thank you very much, Prude. I love that when you do that every week. It's very professional. You know, I think we should get back to maybe doing some intro.
I'm a professional huckster.
Yeah. So
we should go back to doing the little video intro from early on.
Intros, yeah.
I have the stuff. Maybe I should make a generic one that we can just like put in onto.
You know what's funny is that like GIFs, and I know why you suggested GIF because GIF she has a podcast. She's gonna have a podcast.
With, she does shit with Architos.
Yeah. No, she's like Gio, because you know she's autistic. God bless her, right? God bless her heart. But like,
you gotta love the Aspies kids.
Gotta love the Aspie girls. You know, I love Aspie girls. I love them so much. But she said, Gio, I hate your intro music. I hate it. I'm gonna make some for you. I go, okay, we'll make it. I have to remind her of things. You know, like she was gonna make me thumbnails. She's like, you know, but anyways, she's all over the place.
She got big and famous now.
Yeah, God bless her. She's all over the place though, so we'll see what happens. But last opportunity to see the super chats. Let me check my phone just in case any of you gave me a PayPal. I'm not seeing any PayPals. I really do have to set up Entropy, but you know, oh, actually, I do have a PayPal. Let's see. I have a PayPal. This is from let's see here. Oh god, I'm trying to read the messages.
Nico's like, I hate your intro music too.
Don't send sensitive.
Wow, she's literally me.
Oh, okay. My GF sends me a PayPal. She's for $5.99. My GF. It's like I was I just do you remember that pun I told you when we were thrifting about neoliberal kitsch? That like the right wing will embrace kitsch. Oh man, I can't read these messages. Like I don't know why is it preventing me? PayPal view message.
I mean, embracing kitsch from the right. Oh,
no. She had this like pun about like oh yeah that there would be like this sports bar, but it would be like themed around the frogs. Then and we were like going through the different menus.
The Apustaya Cafe, or you bring your rare pepes. You know, like I'd imagine that.
Yeah, we would have like a Thomas theme, like the Snorlax special and stuff like that. That was
oh, that would make me genuinely sad.
Yeah, that would
I would that would make me sick.
We have another one from PayPal. Let me just go to my PayPal history. Owen Zaleski. Owen Zaleski for $5.94, which is $5. $5 American, which is Canadian. Geo, please get entropy, so help me. Only send money to Prude if you do. If you don't get it, I have to have a Bible study. View message. Oh, I have to change my privacy settings to view messages. Yeah, I think I have like a strong privacy setting or something. Yeah, so he said he'll only send money to Prude if I don't get entropy. So thank you, Owen Zaleski, for the $5. And you know, okay, so let's get on to the proper super chats. This is from Glass Bell for $5. The brightest of gems only comes from the purest of gold. Thank you. Yeah, look at Prude. Look at Prude's avatar there. Oh boy. Yeah, exactly. Please need those super chats. So thank you. It's exactly true, Glass Bell. And here we go from Band Again, $10. $10 from Band Again. $10. And for 100 kroner, which I think is, how much is that? From Frederick Svesterson. Like the stream, folks. Thank you so much, my friend. How much is that 10 kroner?
That would be $12.58 Canadian dollar.
$12. Thank you. Oh my god.
Finally, John Carter sends an FMK that I can enjoy.
Okay. And for $5 by Melon, boomers say they don't like woke. However, the second one of their kids gets on Twitter and turns out to the boomers cucks and let them do it. Whoa. What do you think about that one, Prude?
No, I don't know, but our good friend TR Hudson says Geo sending himself PayPals now. He's really committed to the bit of having a girlfriend.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy crap!
That's commitment to the bit.
That's Remember, was it TR Hudson?
Or yeah,
was it someone else?
Hudson.
Yeah.
Hudson has my phone
just stick
number.
to the bit. Just stick to the bit. Nobody understands, but that's the bit, right? Like I love how it's like typical millennial quirky, like pixie girl giving you this like thing about
the bit.
Yeah, because millennials, they love this thing where it's like performative and self-referential, and we have to stick to the bit. It's like our whole lives becomes the bit, right? Because it's very millennial, that TikTok. Yeah. That's why I love that. I could write a whole article.
Just stick to the bit.
I could write a whole article about that e-girl, that TikTok about the bit. That was really amazing. I know that nobody understands, but that's the bit, right? Just stick to the bit. Nothing in life is more important than the bit. So there you go.
Just the tip, right?
I'm gonna force my GF to do that. To like reenact the TikTok about the bit. She told me, she's like, just focus on the bit. Nothing's more important than the bit. So so for $10 by Mike of Paul, our good friend, hoping Geo brings a butcher the spirit of the tears 9/11 segment. God bless those poor souls. Exactly. God bless those who perished on 9/11.
The spirit of, yeah.
Yeah, Bojar did great. analysis of it, but we didn't get to it, unfortunately. It's late at night. Well, it's not that late, but I haven't eaten all day, so
Same.
yeah. $4.99 by our good friend Moose. Is that wacky tobacco? No, it is not. It is half of an American Spirit cigarette, American Spirit Black. So that's my preferred brand. It's
Back
the strongest.
when a man could watch porn for the plot.
It's the highest tobacco. It's highest nicotine content out of I believe Marlboro. One Marlboro without filters has a higher nicotine content. But
back when your cigarettes were without filters. And softcore porn was the pinnacle of taste.
I didn't have to chop off the filters. Now we just chop something off. So,
we used to have to chop off our filters. Now these girls got to cut off their dicks. What's going on? Need another cigarette, honey.
Gets me through the day. When I have to go with the dick girl.
Guys,
our women are impossible
and he isn't gay. I got to ratio Beyond Meat with the Beyond Women. I was so happy with that.
Our women are impossible, just like our
Look at another mystery meat running down the road. What is this?
Mystery meat, impossible meat,
Honey,
Beyond
pass
Woman.
me my cigarettes.
We have impossible cigarettes vapes.
This is the
we have impossible cigarettes.
This is the bit I commit to, which is awful.
Exactly. Yeah, but we have impossible cigarettes now. They're called vapes. They're called Juuls. So for Surges for $5, Kim Jong-un is taff-pilled. That's very true. I am also taff-pilled. So does that mean he's fat?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Although Kim Jong-un lost weight.
Yeah, he lost weight. Yeah.
Yeah, he's lost some weight.
So Marbly for $5. Great show as always. Blessed X. I feel really bad that I've ripped off PPP by doing the $5 thing, but I guess.
Oh, that's from him?
Yeah.
I thought you were original.
No. It's him.
It's
like $20.
Oh, well.
Maybe one day we'll get the Andy
You're the better fat guy. I'll tell you that right now. You're the better fat guy.
Maybe one day we'll have $100 donation. It'll be like $100. You'll do like the Andy
We've had that on the show.
Oh yeah, that's right. We had a $100 donation. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I feel like Pat Casey though, because the largest super chat I've ever received was from a late night gaming stream I paywall. It killed me.
Oh my god.
It killed me inside.
And from Zyhon Y for $5, accidentally wore my cum sock. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You could say you had a little bit of crunch in your step. Turn your foot into an icicle.
Oh my god, the athlete foot is incredible with that one.
Yeah, talk about a job itch down there.
You call it a snow job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for Melissamum for $10. Thank you for all the streams. Thank you, our good friend. Thank you so much. We salute you. I tip my hat to you. And our good friend Sam153 for $10. Super Sneed 64.
I need to get a Nintendo 64 thing up here.
Oh yeah. My favorite game, I remember borrowing my best friend at the time, his N64, to play the WWE game. What was it called? WWF No Mercy. WWF No Mercy. That was the best one. I still have that stupid song in my head from the loading screen. The Dick Diddy Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dick Diddy. I still have that in my head, man. And Lou Templar, a good friend, for $5. Aliens don't exist because I haven't seen Chinese eating one.
This is why I said the only way you're going to get proof of it is if a bunch of Brazilians are cooking it somewhere on the south side of the Bronx.
Yeah. Yeah, all Salvadorians.
We've got kitchens going on. Isn't this great? No, they got to go back.
It's diversity, though.
They got to go back.
Yeah, but don't you want an authentic El Salvadorian or Brazilian gaucho
I have
barbecue?
The recipe. They can go back.
I have the recipe. I don't need them to do it. Like the Japanese perfecting French cuisine. Yeah.
We can mow our own damn lawns.
There's this guy.
There's a Spencer throwback.
There's this guy in the foot of Mount Fuji who like traveled to America multiple times, and he's a master of like Texas pit barbecue in Mount Fuji in this like little restaurant. So there you go. He doesn't need Texaners to go there.
There's an old Rodney Carrington bit about that where it's just like, they got all these like Japanese like, grills here where they cook it right in front of you. I want one like that where it's a bunch of like Texans doing it and like and like outside of Tokyo it's like, all right, Chinky, you want a hamburger or a hot dog? Just like I need that kind of authenticity.
Oh my god.
It needs to be a novelty. It doesn't need to be in every city and corner in America.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't have to import like actual
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's the Japanese. They don't want to import, French people or Texaners or Mexican people to have authentic
yeah, they don't
cuisine.
they don't need to experience Paris syndrome in order to get Paris cuisine,
Paris and Tokyo, yeah.
This is little Paris in Tokyo, and yeah, imagine like
they
a bunch
love
of like expat
they love French culture.
Parisans just like living out. I swear it'll be great.
There was one of these like miniature restaurants that like these mobile restaurants. There was this one video where this guy, he was a Parisian expat that like spoke fluent Japanese. I think he married a Japanese woman, but he was like working in one of these kitchen things, mobile restaurants. What do they call it? It's like the cart restaurants. They have a word for them. I forget the word, but
that's a great point. I don't know it actually.
Yeah. You have to like have a license for them though. You have to be like grandfathered in to get one. So they have like all these crazy rules in Japan. Another $5 for Luth Templar. There's a biologist. There's a biologist.
Biologist.
A biologist. Yeah. Sorry, it's getting late. There's a biologist who researched lemming populations and developed a psychohistory in the 90s. He said that civilization would hit a crisis by 2020. Well, he was correct. And yeah, that's interesting.
I ate one little food market. I ate at one little food market. The world got scared.
Yep. You know what's funny? They say lemmings don't actually like fall off cliffs that way.
No, that's purely a Disney thing, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, they say they were manipulating that.
Thanks,
in that
Walt.
nature film.
Thanks, you killed him.
Yeah, thanks, Walt Disney.
It's probably not Walt's fault, but
Yeah, yeah. So subject to change, our good friend for $4.99 sends a super sticker. I'd have to look up.
I like seeing that man in the Red Letter Media comments section. Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah. Is any good videos recently from Red Letter Media?
I don't know. I don't know.
So Eric for $2, not seeing enough sneaking. Thanks for the content. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate it. Should I just skip the John Carter to the end, or do we have to go chronologically?
Go chronologically, good sir. You know the rules, and so do I.
For $1.99, John Carter, only $1.99, by the way. FMK, Josie Packard, Louis Moran, Longley. Who are these people?
These are all characters from Twin Peaks of David Lynch's own creation. And you're now going to have to Google them, but I've already answered this in my own Telegram chat. And the answer is simple. Yes, it's in the same order as FMK is in. You have a really good time with Josie Packard, you marry Lucy Moran, and you kill the log lady because she's already dying of cancer.
Oh, Lucy Moran's the blonde one.
Yeah, she's a bit of a ditz.
Oh. Log lady.
Listen, also, see, if John really wanted to screw with this, he would say, all right, which Josie Packard, the one when she's still alive, or turned into that weird doorknob shit?
I think the log lady is nice though. I don't know, but it would be a made program thing if you picked K. So, you know what? I'm gonna reverse the order. I'll say I'll marry Josie Packard, F Lucy, and maid log lady. No, actually, I think I'll maid
log lady.
I'll marry log lady just to get to make her comfortable her last few years. I don't know. I'm nice that way, I guess. I don't know. I gotta watch Twin Peaks. I only watched.
I'm really surprised that you haven't.
I know. I've only watched a few episodes. Yeah, but thank you, John Carter. Even though.
Thank you, John. Even though it was $1.99.
So for Sundine 564, I wonder if that's in reference to Matt Sundine. the famous Toronto Maple Leafs hockey player. Best 9/11 documentary is on YouTube. It's named Sly Stallone documentary. It's about a minute long, but it's very touching. What is the Sly Stallone? Oh my god.
I will look that up when I'm not on the air, just because I don't know. I'm getting like having my chain jerked around.
Yeah. It's only a minute long, though.
You still don't know.
Stallone documentary.
I don't care if she's a psycho killer. So true. So true. You can only be hopeful.
Wait, is she a psycho killer in Twin Peaks, the log lady?
No. Josie Packard's got issues.
Oh, Josie Packard. Yeah. Interesting. So anyways, for $4.99 by our good friend John Carter, the day is soon approaching when prawn flicks will actually have better plots than mainstream films. Well, I don't know about that. I talk about prawn in my book actually being a sort of like a liminal place between, like, it's not exactly art, it's not exactly media, it's not exactly sexuality. Well, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. Yeah. So thank you, John Carter. No, sorry. John Carter. Man.
There we go.
So Dorian Walker for $4.99. Love you, my apostolic brethren, but beware racial idolatry. I almost left my wife 4 years ago before Christ found me, straight and narrow, my friend. I don't know about that one.
I don't think wanting to preserve a people from being objectively and purposefully being destroyed is idolatry.
Yeah,
I don't put my race before Christ, but Lord knows on this earth there's a deliberate attempt to get rid of them.
Well, yeah. Well, there's an attempt to get rid of both, actually.
Yeah.
Both
Christ and a race.
Yeah. And finally, Bolero for $2. Import recipes to poor people. Don Draper.
It's toasted.
Oh my god.
I'm all for it, by the way. Let it happen. Import recipes, deport people. All recipes, no immigrants, just vibes.
I just wanted to see. Oh my god, here we go. I just wanted to see. Oh my god.
Girl, that's funny.
That's funny. But anyways, thank you all for sneaking those super chats. Next week we'll be on Prude's channel, where maybe we'll get to Nathan Barley finally.
I gotta watch it.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
If not, we'll cover something else exciting. But sorry, my brain is fried right now. So let's see if I have any more PayPals. I do not. So thank you all. Next week, hopefully, I'll have another content minded out. I've been really busy writing the book, trying to finish everything, before next month. So we'll see what happens, everyone. So yeah, God bless. As always, God bless. Goodbye to Sweet.
See you, gents.
All right.